B Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Mostly sunny 25 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
There are growing fears the start of the school year could be thrown into chaos. Teachers are threatening to walk off the job if the state government doesn't address their COVID safety concerns. They want better ventilation in classrooms and free rapid antigen tests. The union's Andrew Gold says they'll hold talks with the Premier today.
I hope this marks a change in the government's attitude rather than treating educators with contempt in terms of their advice about how this should be implemented on the ground. But now they'll start to listen and make some changes about what that might look like. We're all about the same thing, safety for kids and staff.
The Chief Medical Advisor to the White House says it's still too soon to say whether Omicron will spell the end of the pandemic. Dr. Anthony Fauci has told the World Economic Forum he's hoping the virus will become endemic by the end of the year. But he says that can only happen if no new variants emerge.
We've only eradicated one infectious disease in man, and that's smallpox. That's not going to happen with this virus. So what's the next one up the ladder is control, a non-disruptive presence without elimination.
The Coalition and PM are on the nose with voters as the country continues to deal with the COVID crisis. The latest Resolve strategic poll has found their primary vote has dropped 5 points since November. Labor is up 3. Scott Morrison has taken a slide in the preferred PM stakes, down 9 points since last April, while Anthony Albanese has closed the gap with a 6-point surge. That poll doesn't look at the stats two-party preferred. The body of a British charity worker has been recovered after the weekend tsunami in Tonga. 50-year-old Angela Glover was trying to save her dogs when large waves triggered by an underwater volcano eruption swept her away. Angela's brother Nick says his sister and her husband had made a life there.
Angela and James loved their life in Tonga and adored the Tongan people. In particular, they loved the Tongan love of family and Tongan culture.
Novak Djokovic touched down in Serbia overnight after losing his bid to stay in Australia. The tennis world number one was deported late Sunday when the federal court upheld a decision by the immigration minister to cancel his visa. Djokovic's participation in this year's French Open is also in doubt. The country's sports minister says at this stage there will be no vaccination exemptions for the tournament. A new documentary is set to reveal details of the relationship between Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell, including allegations of an intimate relationship between the Duke of York and the convicted sex offender. Nine's US correspondent Alison Petrowski reports.
As Prince Andrew battles sex abuse allegations, fresh claims from a former Buckingham Palace Royal Protection Officer.
From the way she was allowed to enter and exit the palace at will, we suspected that she might have had an intimate relationship with Prince Andrew.
Paul Page revealing that Ghislaine Maxwell, the now convicted sex offender, was a regular palace visitor in 2001.
She kept coming in and out, in and out.
The allegations are set to air in a British TV documentary tomorrow night, with members of Maxwell's inner circle going on the record for the first time. Prince Andrew is being sued by Virginia Giuffre, who claims she was forced to have sex with the Duke of York 3 times against her will. Andrew has denied all allegations and will fight the lawsuit as a private citizen.
Now to FIVEaa Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And it's good morning to Jace Kemp.
And a very good morning to you, Mel. To tennis first, and Ash Barty has bolted into the second round of the Australian Open. The Aussie thrashing Alessia Sarenko in just under an hour. The world number one says it feels good to be back at Melbourne Park.
End to end, I did a good job in adjusting. There is quite a little bit of wind at court level here, so I thought I did a good job. It was just nice and solid to get out here and play a decent match and just feel like I enjoyed it. I think that's the most important thing.
Fellow Aussie John Millman also advanced overnight, while Thanasi Kokkinakis and Ale Tomljanovic were eliminated. Nick Kyrgios and Alex de Minaur will be in action later today. To cricket, and the Strikers are through to the Big Bash finals after defeating the Stars by 8 wickets, blistering half-centuries from Matt Renshaw and Ian Cobain, guaranteeing Adelaide a spot.
Yeah. 4 to wrap it all up, and it's 4 wins in a row for the Adelaide Strikers. An 8-wicket victory over the Sixers, and they are playing finals in BBL 11.
Yeah, great stuff there. The future of Australian cricket coach Justin Langer will likely be decided before March's tour of Pakistan. And finally, this weekend's A-League doubleheader between Sydney and Melbourne City has been rescheduled due to COVID. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the FIVEaa forecast, mostly sunny, 25 today, mostly sunny tomorrow and 29, then Thursday partly cloudy, 35 degrees. Right now it's 16. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday on 5AA Breakfast. It's Hero of the Week Day. If you've got a Hero of the Week nomination, give us a call, 8223 0000. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. We'll hear about the heroes just before 7 o'clock today. Then after 7, maybe some new sporting heroes in the offing. We're 18 days away from the Winter Olympics. We don't tend to feature heavily in the Winter Olympics. We don't tend to feature heavily in the curling either. That may change this year. We're going to speak with the president of the Curling Association in Australia. We are sending a curling team. So we're going to talk about that. Looking forward to it very much. Then later in the morning, Peter Malinauskas, leader of the Labor Party, will join us. And we're also going to try and take you inside the plight of aged care homes facing a swathe of COVID-related outbreaks, lockdowns, isolation measures, and the whole kit and caboodle at the moment right across South Australia. And we're going to endeavour to do that for you after 8:30 today, because it's a big story and one that does go untold all too often. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. Big day for curling fans. New broom sweeps Australian sport.
Now, don't ruin your headline.
I know.
We forgot to do it yesterday.
I know, we did forget. It was the first day back, so a bit slow out of the blocks, but... yeah, new broom sweeps Australian sport. There
I
you
like
go.
that. That's good.
Headline at 6:08.
There's a free one for you.
8:59. There'll be another one later. How do you get into curling, particularly as an Australian? Like, I understand if your name is, Nils Lofgren and you live in Reykjavik, and you've got, it's like having a grey nickel scoop in your backyard.
Exactly.
Everyone's got a broom. Everyone's got a big heavy stone with a handle on it.
We've got to get our terminology up to speed.
If you go to Rebel Sport in Reykjavik or in Helsinki, do you walk in and there's just row after row of brooms and
I imagine so.
Rocks with handles?
Yeah, I think so.
And like for kids' birthdays, it's like the grey nickel scoop was always the coveted bat.
Yep.
Of the 70s. Is there like a certain stone that has got the best handle?
Oh yeah, have you seen Jimmy?
Yeah.
He's got the V1200. Yeah. What would it
be?
Thor.
Lars. Oh, that's done. I want to get one down.
We've got to learn what it's called.
So apologies to any Scandinavian listeners.
It'll be a masterclass at about 7:20 this morning when we talk about it.
Have you seen, there's actually a program I want to know more about. I don't really get into that much television, but over the last couple of weeks, I started watching a show called The Tourist on Stan.
Oh, not familiar with it.
Wholly filmed here in South Australia, very recently.
Really?
It is incredible. It is really, really good. It's basically like No Country for Old Men set near Burra. Like, it is a really, really awesome...
Australian made?
South Australian made. Made by the South Australian Film Corporation.
Fantastic.
But one of the characters in it is this weird and deeply unpleasant bloke who's married to a female police officer. And both of them are a bit on the chubby side. They're trying to lose weight. But this guy's like a sort of pest and rotten husband, and he uses his weight against his wife. But apart from having a shared interest in ballroom dancing, this guy loves watching curling on TV.
Really?
So this is the second, and I was watching it last night, the episode where he's watching the curling. So that's 2 curling references in less than 24 hours.
Is that a groundswell yet?
Well,
is
it
there
seems
momentum?
to be on the cusp of the Beijing Games.
Yeah, exactly right. We will be actually doing something that's a first on the program. It's going to be covering a sport-related story about the Beijing Games.
Yeah.
None of it's actually been related to any sport to this point.
That's not been like...
Who's not sending their delegates?
Yeah, human rights and trade wars.
Seems to be the nature of sport these days, doesn't it? The tennis is about vaccination mandates, and the curling's about... Yeah, everything's politics.
Yeah, everything's politics or COVID. Like, it's really hard to have a conversation I mean, the ultimate example of that was the Ashes series, where it was like, head out with COVID, entire English Test team in isolation. Like,
yep.
It's very, very hard. In fact, have you done this with your mates over summer? We had two friends, husband and wife, and their 2 kids, because we couldn't have any more, round for New Year's Eve. And at the start of the night, when I mean at the start of the night, it was as they were walking in, someone said something about the coronavirus. And I just said, hey, let's form a pact.
Yeah.
If anyone says anything about the coronavirus, they have to scull. And then I said, no. Actually, that makes it too much fun, because then you'll be the beneficiary of some zany sort of uni-style drinking game where, you'll end up getting giggly on the tequila because you talk about the coronavirus. If anyone talks about the coronavirus, they won't be allowed to drink for 15 minutes. So it became a punishment instead. And it worked quite well.
You all sat in silence, drinking happily?
Well, no, it was actually really, really hard to do it. And we all got tripped up.
Yeah.
Because just without thinking, at some point in the conversation, you'd say something about, the kids in school. It's like, well, let's wait and see whether that happens because of the coronavirus. That's it.
Time
Sin
out.
binned.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. 11 after 6, 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. There are no such onerous conditions over what subject matter you can bring up with us. You can talk about absolutely anything you like.
Yep, let it rip, folks.
We're going to get into the news headlines right after this.
This is the sound of Julian's bargain price vacuum with deep express suction. This is the sound of Julian trying to fix his bargain price vacuum, which infuriates him deeply. Yes, this is the sound of bargain regret. When it comes to the important stuff, like insurance, don't risk it. Go to Amy instead, who offers great value cover you won't regret. Amy does. Before buying insurance issued by FIVEaa Limited trading as Amy, read the PDS at amy.com.au. TMD also available.
Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi have amazing deals on new, demo and used vehicles, with over 250 cars arriving between now and the end of Feb. The only problem is we need to make room for the rebuild of the Wavell Mitsubishi showroom, so every car must go. All new Mitsubishi cars come with 10 years warranty and 10 years capped price servicing. Get in touch with the team at Wavell Mitsubishi and Southern Mitsubishi, located in Morphett Vale, driven by Australian Motors. LVD 80.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Get on board with RAA Travel for the biggest cruise sale of the year. Whether it's close to home or worlds away, let us help you plan the cruise holiday of your dreams. Book an ocean cruise of 7 nights or more before the 31st of January 2022 and receive a $100 bonus onboard credit. Talk to a cruise expert today or search RAA Travel for more. And keep on moving on. Offer available to RAA members only for use on selected itineraries. Terms and conditions apply. See RAA website for further details.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
14 minutes after 6, news headlines time on this Tuesday, the 18th of January. Novak Djokovic has arrived back in Serbia after being deported from Australia. He left Melbourne after the federal court upheld a decision by the immigration minister to cancel his visa. Hundreds of supporters and media were waiting outside the airport for his arrival. Probably welcome back as a hero. Not going to be welcome to many other places, though, and we'll do more on this after 7 o'clock in our morning wrap. But if he wants to play the French Open, that's not going to happen any longer. New rules in France say you need to be vaccinated. Does he want to play the Madrid Open as a bit of a warm-up in Spain? No, he can't do that one either. The Spanish Prime Minister just came out and said, you know what, agrees wholeheartedly with Australia's handling of Novak Djokovic, and if he wanted to play there, he needed to be vaccinated.
Well, given the fibbing, too, about his trip to Spain as well, which the Spanish launched an investigation into. I thought Rafael Nadal was quite telling Because Spain was one of the countries that was earliest and hardest hit by COVID. And Nadal was very strong about, well, you know, he's a real diplomat, Nadal. Like he said, he came out and said, look, I'm not going to make any personal criticisms of Novak, and he's gone down his own path, but I would say the way to get out of this mess, get vaccinated.
Yeah, but it's just a credit to that bloke that in not his native tongue, he probably came out with the most eloquent and appropriate and measured commentary on the whole thing.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Of everyone, and he did it in a language that's not his first language. It actually
totally
made me think twice as much of Rafa Nadal. I've always thought a great tennis player, but not much beyond that. He's a pretty impressive guy.
The other tennis players, like, I mean, we know we've been part of the Nick Kyrgios rehabilitation over the last 2 years. Try to work out what Kyrgios' line on all this is bizarre. I sort of think part of Nick's wiring, the way his brain's wired, he just almost wants to be out there first with an opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. And
like, hang on, I got one.
Yeah, here we go.
I mean, you know, we can all relate to that.
No, he should be in radio.
Yeah, that's right.
He's in the wrong.
Get him in here throwing a few haymakers.
Exactly right. There are growing fears the return to school could be thrown into chaos. Teachers threatening to walk off the job if the state government doesn't address their COVID safety concerns. They want better ventilation in the classroom. They want free rapid antigen tests. The unions...
Don't we all?
Exactly. Andrew Grohl says they'll hold talks with the Premier today.
I hope this marks a change in the government's attitude rather than treating educators with contempt in terms of their advice about how this should be implemented on the ground. And now they'll start to listen and make some changes about what that might look like. We're all about the same thing, safety for kids and staff.
If you're inside an aged care home, we want to hear from you this morning, 8223 0000. We're going to get into it as a news story after 8:30, but there's no better source than people that are currently living in it, because living in it is very much a different state depending on where you are at the moment. More than 100 aged care homes have been hit by a COVID outbreak. That's about a third of the facilities we've got here in South Australia. What does that mean for where you live, where you call home? At some sites, more than a third of residents are sick. According to Nicola Spurrier, they're revising return-to-work rules for aged care staff. There are 572 staff that have tested positive right now in aged care facilities. So, again, a story we want to do more work on after 8:30 today.
The word outbreak seems overly alarmist in this context. If you read into the body of the Times' story, and that's not a criticism of the way it's covered, it's criticism of the way these things are defined by the authorities themselves. An aged care outbreak is defined as at least one infectious resident or two ill staff.
Okay.
So one resident could be out of 300, 400 people, or two ill staff.
Which
presumably they wouldn't be at work if they're ill.
Outbreak suggests out of control.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Well, you can have
that
a controlled
sounds pretty
scenario.
manageable to me.
Yeah, you certainly can. That said, a third of the most vulnerable places in the state having issues is not good.
No,
it's not ideal.
No, I think. I mean, I've got a relative who's in lockdown in aged care, and you know, it's terribly isolating. It can be isolating enough being in aged care, let alone in aged care and told you're not allowed to leave your room indefinitely.
Oh, absolutely. A Russian-made COVID vaccine has been added to Australia's list of recognised vaccinations. It means travellers who have received 2 doses of the Sputnik formula are now considered fully vaccinated. It's the 5th vaccine to be approved for international travel to Australia. Is it time for a Western mea culpa on, well, a couple of things, actually? Again, I'm prepared to do this.
Everyone was worried about Sputnik, weren't they?
We had a lot of fun about old Vladimir Putin and getting injected with Sputnik, which they seem to come up with 3 days after COVID first hit Russia.
Didn't he inject it into his kids first?
Yeah.
He did.
Well,
his daughter.
One can't be too careful.
That's right, exactly.
But our medical authorities are saying, no, this one works. This is okay. And by the same token, Donald Trump, Operation Warp Speed, which we all laughed at, Operation Warp Speed, to come up with a vaccine, worked perfectly. They came up with a number of vaccines really fast.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, kind of nailed it on vaccines. All right? Broadcasting to myself 12 months ago.
Anything we or others may have said about that needs to be just ignored.
We can excise it from history. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, they turned out they were.
Well, it was the mood of the times, wasn't it?
It was the mood of the times.
Isn't that what Germans call the zeitgeist?
It was the zeitgeist.
Is that the mood of the times?
We were caught up in the zeitgeist.
Exactly. There's an alibi for something.
More rapid antigen test collection points will open in South Australia this morning. They're located in Murray Bridge and Port Augusta. Close contacts are eligible for 2 free rapid antigen tests, but you have to register first. There's been the first death confirmed following the violent volcanic eruption and tsunami in Tonga. The family of a British aid worker says her body has been found. She was swept away trying to get to her dogs. Australia's aid efforts are ramping up. HMAS Adelaide is now en route to the Pacific Island. It's chock full of supplies. The weather today is going to be a little bit milder. It's right now 15.9 degrees outside, top of 25, but it's gusty and windy, 35 to 50 k's an hour around the hills during the evening, so be wary of that. It's a sign that there is some hot weather on the way. 29 tomorrow, 35 the top on Thursday, Friday 34 with now... Do you know what the rain forecast is now?
Now somewhere between -3 mil and 5,000 mil.
They've got a little bit more specific now. It's 0 to 0.4.
Friday's forecast?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it today. Last night I looked and said
0 to 20.
0 and 10.
It was 0 to 20, and so was Saturday, 0 to 20.
But Saturday's the big one, isn't it?
Saturday's still the big one, top of 31, 0 to 15, 50% chance. It looks like it's all coming in a little bit later. Sunday, 27 the top, and again, possibly up to 10 mils of rain on Sunday. So
good rain.
Yeah, be good rain.
Good time to fertilise.
Oh, my garden needs fertiliser. It needs care. It needs
someone to know where it actually is.
It needs to be seized by the government. You know, like someone in garden care needs to come in and say...
There should be like mandatory notifiers for gardening. Like someone walks by, sorry, that's not going to fly.
I'll wear
Just
an
get
ankle
into the
bracelet.
succulents, mate.
Sorry, I can't come within 50 metres of a garden.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
21 minutes after 6.
This is Brad. Brad loves his aircon, set to a frosty 16 degrees. But Brad has a problem. He gets the gilts having it on all day. Well, Brad, save your gilts for giving the family frostbite, because NRG Solar gives you electricity guilt-free. Just guilt-free cold air all day long.
Electricity guilt-free with NRG.
Maybe I'll sing next time, Brad. NRGsolar.com.au.
As the world changes, spaces change. We should know. For 110 years, Workspace has manufactured through world wars, depressions, and now a pandemic, seeking to inspire productivity in the spaces they shaped. Adapt your space to a changing world with bespoke, high-quality furniture made here in SA. Workspace can manufacture, freight, and install your commercial furniture needs. Get solutions for the spaces of today and tomorrow. Make space work at workspace.com.au.
Now, you might think it's hard to get excited about shelving, but not when you're talking about Charmin shelving.
No, that's right. Anytime is a good time to get in touch with Charmin Shelving and get your workshop fitted out.
From workbenches, shelving cabinets, tool trolleys, open-angle shelving, stainless steel benches, steel cupboards, even van and cool room shelving, Charmin Shelving can literally do anything, including made to measure.
They certainly can. There's nothing that they can't do. Jump on their website and take a look, or visit their Facebook page, or do what I did. Just go out and see them yourselves, because you'll be blown away with what the team at Charmin Shelving can do, and they make the whole process so easy.
So if you're in business, Charmin Shelving should be your go-to for a workshop fit-out. The possibilities are endless. Ask Christine or Bill for a free measure and quote. Jump online, charminshelving.com.au, or call into 412 North East Road, Windsor Gardens.
Hey Adelaide, check out this hot weekend getaway to Uluru that hundreds of South Aussies have already enjoyed. Private jet charter flying from Adelaide to Uluru direct. Accommodation with breakfast, fully hosted touring, 3 days and 2 nights, and a stack of once-in-a-lifetime experiences like Field of Light. Plus save up to $1,000 with the NT Summer Sale. Uluru by private jet departing Friday, February 25th. Seats are limited from just $2,029 per person. Search NT Now or book online at ntnow.com.au.
When everything that you've ever been taught doesn't work, what do you do?
A Fire Inside. Streaming on 9 Now. Made possible by NRMA Insurance.
Hey Barry.
Yes, Bev?
Remember our first Jayco back in the 80s?
Gee, those were the days, Bev.
Yeah. And Walker Crash Repairs have been an RAA-approved crash repairer since then.
Wow. That's 35 years.
Yeah, and now they're also an RAA-approved caravan crash repairer.
Well, that's because they do such a good job, Bev. You can always relax on the road with Walker Crash Repairs. an RAA-approved crash repairer for caravans and cars.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 6, time to head off to Melbourne. It's where we find Tom Rennie's on commentary duties for Channel 9, covering the Australian Open, doing a wonderful job as he always does each and every year. If the windy weather has left your gutter full of debris, give Ken a call. That's Ken Hall Plumbers. Rennie, good morning to you, mate.
Morning to you, Will. Yeah, it was a big day, wasn't it, at the tennis? Some great results for the Aussies, but some pretty flat ones. Like, I was lucky enough to see Thanasi Kokkinakis last week. He just looked like he'd run out of petrol completely last night, didn't he?
Yeah, do you think it's fair to say, Rennie, that, you would... At first blush, you'd go, he's won a lead-up tournament. It's the ideal preparation. But it seemed like, given his history with injury and the long comeback road that he's been on, It just taxed him too much. In reality, him going deeper than he's ever gone before and winning a final pretty much robbed him of any chance of progressing at the Oz Open.
I reckon that's absolutely spot on. And it was great that he won his first ever tournament, but it seemed like he just had no juice left. And, he should have beaten Yannick Huntsman 19 times out of 20. Credit to the German, but he didn't do anything great. I just thought that he was just Kokkinakis just couldn't raise his game again, and the crowd was ready to go. I mean, they were going wild out there on that court. And I was actually lucky enough. I bumped into Leighton Hewitt later in the night, and he actually said it was probably the wrong court for him because Kokkinakis was not happy with the conditions, and he'd been playing under the roof in Adelaide. It was really nice there, whereas out where he was playing, it was quite windy and swirly. And he just never looked comfortable. So, yeah, not a great result, but still a fantastic summer for him because of what he did in Adelaide, but just not the result that he wanted yesterday, of course.
Hey, Tom, what's the atmosphere like there? I was watching a bit of was it the Millman game last night? I don't even know what the result was. I didn't persist with the match, but it looked like there were hardly any people there. Are there crowd limits, or was that just because it wasn't on centre court?
Yeah, no, there are crowd limits, so it's 50% for matches. Now, you're right, there probably would have been, 25, 30%. It was Margaret Court Arena, so it was not the main Rod Laver Arena, the main centre court. But, Pembo, that is different for matches where there have been tickets that have already been sold. So where Kokkinakis was playing, there was not an empty seat in the house.
Yeah, right.
For the day yesterday, about 25,000. A little bit down, and I think part of that is COVID, but also, the 50% crowd capacity is definitely having an impact as well.
So what are you looking forward to today, Rennie? Who are you calling?
That is a very good question. Now, first up, I am calling. I've actually got 4 matches, and I've written it down somewhere, but and I've got all my notes. But
I didn't doubt you'd have your notes, Rennie.
Come on, Tom, answer the question. We're going to leave you on air until you find your notes.
I've got a couple of Aussies, and they're just fresh. I'm just out of fresh air.
Just make up some names. Yeah, we'll go over mine. Medvedev, maybe.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think I've actually got Medvedev. I think I've got Stefanos Tsitsipas coming up. That's who I have got coming up.
Crowd favourite. He's good.
I am looking forward to calling Stefanos Tsitsipas. That'll be one of my favourites today, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I'll tell you what, I think last night, if you're looking for a cheeky little go at one of the players who could go deep in the tournament, I think Paula Badoza, that is as impressive hitting last night. I called her against Isla Tomljanovic. She gives the ball a serious rip. I think she could just about win the whole thing. That was as good a hitting as I've seen in quite a long time. It was phenomenal.
Paula Badoza.
Remember the name. Remember the name.
Yeah, exactly. Remember the name like I didn't remember the names that I'm calling.
Yeah, she obviously made an impression because you remembered her name, so that you must have been in it well. Ready? Get back to sleep.
Good on you, Tom.
You got a big day ahead.
Good on you, fellas.
Tom Wren, the legend himself.
Paula Badoza.
Paula Badoza. A free tip. Oh, ready? If you listen
closely
enough.
Tom's got her in a multi with Sebi Ballesteros or something.
If you listen close enough, there's always a tip in there
Yeah,
from
that's
Rennie.
right,
No matter what the
exactly.
sport, you pick up some key little terminology.
I just hope he's listening to our curling interview at 7:20.
Oh no, he's got some thoughts on that too.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. It's 29 after 6. 5AA News with Mel is coming up in just a moment. 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line 0448 08 1395.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 25 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
SA teachers will vote on taking industrial action over COVID safety fears. They're worried about staff shortages and how positive cases will be managed when school returns. The union will meet with the government today. President Andrew Gold is urging the Premier to address their concerns.
The important thing here is we should be doing all that's reasonable and practicable to ensure a safe workplace. And if this state government and the Education Department can address our concerns, then we won't need to proceed with this sort of action.
2 more RATS collection points will open this morning, this time at Murray Bridge and Port Augusta. Close contacts are eligible for 2 free rapid antigen tests but must register first. A collection point in the South Parklands opened last Thursday, with more metro area sites coming online in the next few weeks. Shadow Health Minister Chris Picton says there's a lack of planning when it comes to the locations.
Last night, the City of Salisbury moved a motion condemning the government for not having a site in the northern suburbs, even though Salisbury Council has been offering up sites to the government that could be used.
Coronavirus is complicating efforts to deliver aid to tsunami-hit Tonga. Australia and New Zealand have sent aircraft to assess the damage, but the Pacific Island nation is reluctant to let in too many people because it's still virus-free and wants to stay that way. There has been one confirmed death now, a 50-year-old British charity worker. It's understood Angela Glover was attempting to rescue her dogs when she was swept away. Pharmaceutical company Moderna is working on a combined vaccine for COVID-19 and the flu. Nine's US correspondent Michael Genovese has more.
A single injection that protects against influenza and COVID-19. The 2-in-1 vaccine is in the works, according to Moderna's CEO. The combination won't be ready until next year and only available in some countries.
Novak Djokovic has returned to Serbia with his participation in another tennis tournament in doubt. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank has the latest.
From one predicament to the next, Novak Djokovic has touched down in his hometown of Belgrade, only to face new fears about his chances of competing in the French Open. Despite earlier reassurances that he would be able to play, the French Parliament has just passed a new vaccine pass law, which means Djokovic's vaccination status puts him at risk of not being able to defend his title there either. After being deported from Australia, Novak Djokovic touched down here in Serbia today to be reunited with family. There were plenty of supporters showing up at the airport to welcome him home.
Back-to-back earthquakes have hit western Afghanistan, killing more than 20 people. The tremors coming in at 4.9 and 5.3. Hundreds of homes have been damaged, and it's feared more people might have died. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To tennis first, and Aussie John Millman has advanced to the second round of the Australian Open after defeating Spanish veteran Feliciano Lopez in 4 sets last night.
Started off really well, and Feliciano I don't think was serving too well. That's obviously his strength, but he started landing that first serve in the third and fourth set, and I thought maybe I'd blown it a little bit in that fourth set. I had a couple little break points, but he came up with some great serves under pressure, but I think probably the crowd got behind me.
Ash Barty is also through after dominating Lesia Sarenko in straight sets, while Thanasi Kokkinakis and Tom Rennie are out. Nick Kyrgios and Alex de Minaur will be in action later today. To cricket, and the Strikers are into the Big Bash finals after downing the Stars by 8 wickets. Ian Cobain starred with 71 not out. The Englishman, a late season pick-up for the Strikers.
Playing a bit of club cricket in Melbourne, obviously the Strikers had a couple of players go down, and Dan Worrell threw my name in the hat, which I know Dan from back home for Gloucestershire, so he threw my name in the hat and things fell into place, and here I am. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest.
The Perth Scorchers also defeated the Brisbane Heat by 6 wickets. And finally to basketball, and the 36ers will play their first game of the new year against the Wildcats later tonight. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast, 25 today and mostly sunny tomorrow 29, then up to 35 and partly cloudy on Thursday. Right now it's 15 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderroll Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 7. They found an eel in the Victoria Square fountain yesterday.
You're kidding?
An eel.
How'd it get in there?
That's a question that's outstanding. I'm not sure if there is a crack SAPOL eel unit that's looking at this. It has been released back into the Torrens. I'm not sure how the eel would feel about that, but they found one in the fountain there in Victoria Square. Very peculiar story. I want to know the profile of the person who fished it out in the first place.
Now, someone must have put it there.
Yeah. Oh, no, it didn't just drop in.
Unless there's pipes that connect it to the Torrens somehow.
Okay. Surely not. If anyone's got an eel-related theory for us, we're willing to consider it.
Horrible looking things.
They certainly are. It doesn't look pleasant.
Well, I don't mind eating them. Have you ever eaten eel?
I think I've tried eel. Yeah.
You would have eaten it. You like Japanese food. You've been to Japan.
Yep.
They're big on the eel, but a lot of English people like eels. There's a very unpleasant sounding but popular English dish called jellied eel.
No, no thanks. No, that
6:35. Apologies if you're tucking into your Cocoa Pops.
That needs a makeover. Hey, 82230000. You got a favourite piece of obsolete technology? I went to the shops yesterday to do what I thought would be a fairly routine and simple exercise in shopping. Wanted to buy a pair of headphones, ear headphones, one of the little in-ear ones.
With the ones you stick into your ear?
Yeah, the ones you stick in, to do exercise with, because you don't want to have big bulky ones that you sweat into and, destroy. And I thought, I needed a pair. But I refused to get the Bluetooth ones.
Yeah.
I can't handle that.
No, me neither.
The thought of it, I lose stuff
I don't
all the time.
even like the ones you stick into your ears.
Yeah, I don't love it, but for exercising purposes, that's what I needed. It's nearly impossible to get it with a cord. The cord is done. People have decided we don't do cords anymore.
Yeah.
And then if you want a cord that fits into your phone, well, good luck. Good luck. I spent hours doing this, walking around yesterday, and it just sort of suddenly struck me that I've picked a moment in time and gone, well, that's my technology now. The cord I'm happy with. I don't want to move on to the non-cord. Gives me anxiety, I'll lose it, it's no good for doing exercise with, I'm not interested. There's a whole realm of things like that. Bits of technology where you said, the old one's better than the new one.
I totally agree.
8223...
You're preaching to the choir with me on this, Will.
822... I know this is your whole world.
I've still got C90 tapes for doing interviews.
So what is an example of where you like the old version better than the new version? 82230000. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line too. I mean, I would think as a form of listening to music, the vinyl record player belongs in this conversation, doesn't it?
100%. 100%. I'm prepared to concede the CD player may have run its race.
Yeah.
And, I was such a holdout when we did the road trip, which is, it's getting on now, isn't it? 5 years ago? 4 years ago? No, 5 years ago this year.
2017. Who could forget?
5 years since that thing happened in Melbourne. How about that? But if you're in your car listening to a streaming service like Spotify, it's 10 times better than having to shuffle around, finding a CD to change. If you're on a long trip or you just feel like listening to something different, you've got the glove box with all these cracked cases in it. Like,
there's a reason that one works.
That works.
And it's popular.
That works. But, can't go past the record player. I think that the thing that's really frustrating with Bluetooth everything is just the process of connecting. Like, I've got a little audio engine thing that I picked up from JB Hi-Fi for using Spotify on my amp that sounds really good. But I was trying to connect the other day via Bluetooth. There's about 18 things that appear on the Bluetooth list. And you sit there going, tap, tap, tap. Hang on.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's something that someone brought to a barbecue 5 years ago that I had to connect the phone to. Takes forever. You feel like you're at work because you're having computer-related problems when you're meant to be relaxing.
Call the IT guy. Sue in Milo, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Hey, listen, you two. I'm old. I still go for a walk every night with my little portable CD player and a pair of bright pink headphones with cat ears on them.
Oh, that's
Good on you,
superb,
Sue.
Sue.
Yep.
Is that like one of those, is it called a Discman?
Yep, that's the one.
I bought a Discman in 1994 on my first honeymoon.
Yeah, and they still work fine.
Yeah, they're
I
good.
still love my CDs. So.
They're nicely made.
What's in the rotation, Sue? What's your sort of go-to?
One night it might be Beatles, and then I might go Eagles, and then I sort of go best of the 80s. And, yeah, it sort of varies. But it's just what mood I'm in. But I still like my long cord on my headphones, and I don't do all this wireless stuff.
Yeah, no. Yeah, look, I'm a tech advocate most of the time, but I just can't do the wireless headphones are just a bridge too far for me. Sue, thank you.
Keep your eyes peeled for Sue walking around Milo with a... It's
quite a look.
Pink headphones on.
Fantastic.
What about that? You should have got some of them, Will.
Dion says the CD Walkman 1 minute anti-shock. I don't even know what that is, but sounds very good. Dion, thank you on the Telstra Storm Outback text line. Someone else said service stations still sell cord earphones. Thank you for that. Appreciate the tip. Needed you yesterday. Someone's asked about the teachers. Why is it always about the teachers? I've worked all the way through Christmas with only public holidays off alongside dozens of different tradies in close quarters to finish a new school. No talk of strikes or free rapid antigen tests for us.
Well, I think the cult of rapid antigen tests is a bit off the charts.
Oh,
I don't know why, but I think people are testing each other for fun in some cases. You know, don't we just have to get to a point where we go, like with any other illness, you only get tested when you've got symptoms or something, or when you think you're actually sick.
Don't come to work.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing
we don't test ourselves for the flu or mumps or measles or everybody wants a rapid antigen test.
There's one element of the teachers' qualms that I think is legit, and you touched on this in Breaking It 8 yesterday. The idea that you can be exposed, you can be expected to come to work and then have to just quarantine from your family for the quarantine period is pretty crazy.
Particularly when you consider that most classes have got, 25 students.
Yeah, so you could 15 times over the course of the year, you might go a week without seeing your family.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous. So I think the thing that needs to change is less the teachers and more our close contact definition. Pat in Barossa Valley, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, fellas. How you going?
Good, thanks, Pat.
I'm probably older than the last girl that was on there. I've got an old ghetto blaster, and I wired my Walkman into it. So I can play CDs on the ghetto blaster. It's only got room for tapes. You can 2 tapes, as a matter of fact. It's one of those double ones.
Oh, tape to tape, head to head. They used to
It's about 6 foot long. You carry it around. No worries. I used to carry it to work sites, and they just put it down, turn it up, let it go. But I've had it for bloody years.
When do you reckon you got it, Pat? Early 80s?
Oh, actually, pretty hard to put a time on it. It'd be mid-80s, I suppose. Yeah, somewhere around there.
I've still got
mine.
All the
rage, you carry around your shoulder.
Have you still got old mixtapes that you made?
Oh, probably in the shed, buried away somewhere. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I've still got a few that were meticulously crafted for parties in the late 80s.
Certain moods.
Yeah,
Pat,
absolutely.
thank you. Lots of texts coming through on the Telstra Storm Outback text line. I like this from Stavros. Give me the older cars that don't beep every time you get in it. Beep for this, beep for that. Drives me
100%.
bloody mad, says Stavros. Give me the old Magna. 400,000 K, still going well. Not a beep to be heard.
Oh, if there was some mode on new cars that said disable all safety features, I'd hit it every time.
You can imagine the legal quandary about, sir, did you hit the disable all safety features button?
Well, but what about when you go to the supermarket and you buy, dozen eggs, a 2-litre bottle of Coke and...
one of the things as a passenger?
Yeah, ding, 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 ding,
driving
ding.
me absolutely
So you got to
nuts.
think, I better put the seatbelt on for the shopping bag.
Can't be too careful.
Every time you buy a carton of beer, it happens. Ding,
Yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
Exactly. Now, John from Athelson says, gents, something that was better before are standard light globes. Last longer, warm and glow, no stark office feel, and I seem to be forever changing them. Thank you, John. Naomi says, I bought headphones with a cord from Northpack Reject Shop last Friday, $10. That's good. That's good. Need to find the connector too.
Yeah, there you
Neil
go.
says, wireless earbuds help me sneakily listen to you while at work. Well, I take it all back, Neil.
Good on you, Neil.
They are a great invention. Rob says, bring back the buttons and dials on the TV. The remote control's always disappearing. Well, probably, it contributes to the obesity epidemic, people not having to get up physically to switch the channel.
That's right. I
The
remember
remote control's got a lot to answer for.
Granny Penberthy's old rank arena. Still remember the very satisfying click that the channels made when you turn the circular knob around. Like click in a position.
Can you get streaming with that?
I don't think so.
Okay, let's check
We
traffic.
couldn't even get Channel 10.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? I think that's still an issue. Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will, at Mount Barker, tree over the road on Old Mount Barker Road near Flaxley Road. Bowden, expect delays on Hawker Street near Park Terrace. That's due to closures on Torrens Road for works. Melrose Park, Watermain works continue there. Dawes Road near Winston Avenue, speeds reduced. And Woodville Park got those asphalt works continuing on Port Road near Kilkenny Road. It's affecting inbound speeds reduced. Cameras this morning, Addison Road, Pennington and Ledger Road at Beverley. Burbank Homes, inside-out sale. 10K Bunnings voucher plus early bird upgrade. $1,000 deposit to start. Early bird offer ends January 31. Burbank.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
You can WEA just about anything. Learn a new language or an instrument, learn how to read tarot cards, become a better cook or artist. Learn more about Adelaide on guided history tours. It's easy to enrol and so much fun. Visit wea-sa.com.au.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
It's value the Australian way at Coles with great fresh specials this week. Like delicious loose cherries, 100% Aussie and just $11.50 a kilo. This week at Coles. Offer ends Thursday.
This Australia Day, surround yourself with friends, family and your community to reflect, respect and celebrate. Reflect on our past, present and future. Listen to each other's stories, contributions and dreams. And celebrate being together. Join one of hundreds of ceremonies and events taking place near you, or host your own. Plan your day. Visit australiaday.org.au. We're all part of the story. Australia Day.
The world could be opening soon. So if you're planning to travel, now's the time to take a short language course at WEA. Chinese, Mandarin, French, Italian, Japanese, Greek and more. When it comes to language, you can WEA anything.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 to 7, Hero of the Week coming up shortly. If you've got a hero you'd like to nominate for deeds, big or small, give them a shout out on the radio, 8223 0000. That's coming up. Let's check in with Sapole first. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad on the line. Kimberly, good morning to you.
Morning, Will. Morning, Dave.
So, Kimberly, this sounds like quite the evening out. 6 people arrested in a stolen car. 6.
Yeah, it's got those images of all of these clowns coming out of the Mini. But it was just after midnight.
Clowns of a different kind.
Yeah, that's right. Police have spotted a stolen Ford sedan on King William Road at Adelaide. It was just after midnight. Attempted to stop the car, however, the drivers refused to pull over. Checks revealed that car had been stolen from the CBD yesterday morning. It was pursued for a short time south through the CBD, but terminated for safety reasons. We did spot it again a short time later in the Goodwood area, but this time didn't pursue it, but just kept some observations of the car as it headed south on South Road and then onto the Southern Expressway. It's then stopped just south of Seacombe Road Bridge, and police were able then to approach and arrest all of the occupants. So that we had, there was 5 men, varying ages between 27 to 40, and 1 woman aged 29. So they've all been arrested. The driver's been charged with engaging in a police pursuit, unlicensed drink driving, and obviously the illegal use of the motor vehicle, and the 5 other passengers.
So he's drunk driving this car with his 5 mates?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Some smart choices being made early on in the year, Dave.
Absolutely.
Also, Kimberley, you caught a hoon motorbike rider at Christie's Beach.
Yeah, that's right. We had a road policing section officer spotted a motorcycle doing a wheelie on Golfview Road near Roy Terrace at Christie's Beach. It was 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. When the rider spotted police, he took off, but with the assistance of Polair, we were able to track the motorcycle and intercept it on Marion Road at Parkholme. So that rider, a 23-year-old man from Port Noarlunga South, he's been reported for riding in a dangerous manner and also misuse of a motor vehicle. He'll be appearing in court at a later date, and also had his motorcycle defected and impounded.
Good stuff. Thank you for that, Kimberly.
Thanks, Kimberly.
Senior Constable Kimberly Broad from Sapole. Sounds a bit like this story that Nine had last night about a road rage incident with a motorbike guy captured on film throwing a hammer at a car that he was riding alongside after threatening them with it and trying to get them to pull over. Have a listen to this.
That's fine, keep driving. Keep driving.
You can hear the engine, the guy speeding up to get alongside him, threatening them with the hammer, waving at him to pull over. Then when they were clearly refusing to do so and filming him, he threw the hammer at the car and then sped off at what looked like an extraordinary speed, weaving through traffic ahead. Real crazy sort of stuff.
Where did it happen?
I'm not sure where that happened. Paradise.
Yeah.
Why did the guy have a hammer? I don't know. He didn't look like he was in high vis, put it that way.
Yeah.
He just was cruising around on his motorbike with a hammer.
Well, yeah. It suggests a degree of preparation, doesn't it? Like you're going out looking for strife.
Yeah, it's just a degree of a lot of things, but not intelligence.
That's right.
Senior forecaster Vince Rowlands is at the Weather Bureau. Vince, morning to you.
Morning, guys.
How is Tuesday looking?
Yeah, look, not too bad. A bit cool for this time of year. A bit of high cloud around, and did have some gully winds around last night and this morning, and expecting those again about the hills this evening and into tomorrow morning. So yeah, a bit windy and gusty up through the hills at times. But generally looking at southeasterly winds, and they're helping to keep the temperatures down. So currently sitting at 16 degrees, going for a top of 25 degrees in the city today. A little bit warmer in the northern suburbs, 27, and a touch warmer about the hills and about the coast as well. But things are warming up over the next couple of days. So tomorrow going for a top of 29 degrees. Those southeasterly winds continuing, and as I mentioned, just some gully winds around during tomorrow morning. But as we get into Thursday and Friday, temperatures really peaking up to 35 degrees on Thursday. Then on Friday, we've got a top of 34 degrees and a bit of a risk of some shower activity around. Not much in it on Friday. It's really over the weekend that we're expecting quite a bit of activity to move over the city. So we will see an increase in humidity as we get some moisture feeding in from the east. With that, it's bringing some instability. So we've got a chance of some showers, a risk of thunderstorm activity during the weekend, and temperatures hovering around the 31 degrees on Saturday, 27 for Sunday, and then we've got 26 degrees for Monday. But the rainfall totals, at the moment we've got up to about 15 on Saturday and up to about 10 on Sunday, but given the latest indications, we could see those numbers go up quite a bit over the next couple of days. So we'll be keeping a pretty close eye on what's happening in Adelaide over the weekend as far as rainfall goes. It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, it is. I'm actually quite excited about it, Vince. I love that kind of weather. We're going to feel like we live on the East Coast. It's going to be pretty tropical, balmy, sort of close weather, as my late grandma would call it.
What's the definition of close weather?
I don't know. My grandma used to say it feels close today. Oppressive.
It's on
oppressive.
you. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
7 to 7.
Thanks, Vince.
Nice turn of phrase. Yeah, good on you, Vince. Let's take a break in a moment. Hero of the Week.
Australia's making positive energy and there's more on the way. It's all part of our plan to reach net zero by 2050. We're rolling out rooftop solar at record levels, expanding snowy hydro, so it's the biggest battery in the southern hemisphere, and investing billions in projects like hydrogen hubs and seaweed for feed, which means more jobs and even less emissions, helping us reach net zero by 2050. Find out more at positiveenergy.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
Ever heard of an ant coffin? Sounds funny, right? But having ants all over your place is no joke. The ant coffin from Termybusters is an effective way to rid yourself of black ants. It's easy and safe to use. Well, unless you're an ant. The ant coffin contains an environmentally friendly bait that worker ants take back to the colony. Then it's game over. Order your ant coffin now. Visit termybusters.com.au. termybusters.com.au.
Life is about choices, and there's plenty to choose from at a Barrow Hotel. Take the Excelsior, the Albion, the Birkenhead or the Sundowner in Whyalla, all brimming with choice, especially when it comes to the latest machines in a comfortable, safe environment, with amazing staff to give you the best experience. For the latest in machines and comfort, visit the Excelsior, the Albion Hotel, the Birkenhead Tavern or the Sundowner in Whyalla. You just know it's a Barrow Hotel. Gamble responsibly.
The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now, and it's sizzling with massive savings on new, demo and used Mazdas. Plenty of stock is arriving daily, but you'd better hurry, they'll be snapped up. Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road, LMVD 207428.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Coming up to 4 to 7 after 7 o'clock this morning. We'll tell you about the closing net on Novak Djokovic. Where's he going to play his next tournament? Because there's a few that he can't. They've all come out overnight to talk about it, including one major. We'll get into that.
The Mogadishu Open's looking good.
Exactly right. He might be able to play the Winter Olympics in Australia's curling team. We've got one. We're going to be speaking to the head of the Curling Association in Australia, 18 days out from the Winter Olympics after 7 o'clock as well. We'll talk pets as well with Dr. Derek. That's coming up. But right now, it's time for Heroes. Good morning to you, Lucy.
Morning, guys.
Who's your hero?
Mine is to do with curling. I was enamoured by this topic. I booked it in without you even knowing.
Yeah, curling. You love curling for years.
Oh, I'm on board. I'm so excited we get to go to the Olympics for it. By we, I don't mean me. But my hero of the week is a guy called Paul Gausel. Between 1976 and 1978, he earned himself the title, the Rebel of the Curling World.
Oh,
the wild man of curling.
Curling's bad boy.
Curling's bad boy. He is my hero of the week because he used to have long hair and wore plaid pants during games.
Zany.
And during tournaments, he used to order pizza in the middle of the play and eat out on the ice while he was playing.
Oh, he's a wild card.
What about him?
He's the Shane Warne of
Which
curling.
country is he from?
Sorry, he's from Calgary, so that's
he's Canadian.
Canadian.
Yeah, crazy Canadian curling.
So curling's bad boy is my hero of the week.
Oh, that's excellent, Liz. Magnificent work.
We are all over the curling.
Who's your hero?
Well, I'm going to nominate the events manager at the Flagstaff Hotel. And I'm going to nominate her on behalf of all of the other long-suffering front-of-house staff in hospitality who have spent most of the last 2 months cancelling, recancelling, rebooking things. My mother-in-law, Roz, and my brother-in-law, Matt, down from Darwin for Christmas, as always, they had Christmas lunch booked together at the Flagstaff there in Darlington. Now, one of the staff got COVID, like the day before, so this poor hotel that does a fantastic banquet, Christmas lunch, had to ring every single customer and say, we're sorry.
Oh, gosh.
We've got to cancel. Like, they cancelled, like, God knows how much money they lost. But this woman told Roz that, and Roz was very understanding, but she said, look, it's nice to have a nice conversation because, to be honest, I've had a few people have been arcing up and getting really aggro and saying, oh, it's Christmas, what are we meant to do? And I thought, what's this poor woman
Yeah. That's
it's
crazy.
bad enough
what are you meant
that
to
the
do?
pub is in the midst of this total economic and jobs firestorm, losing all this dough because of COVID rules and restrictions and everything else. And one big event that's set to go ahead, at the 11th hour it falls over. So these people just constantly dealing with the, mind-bending logistics of keeping the show on the road. I reckon they deserve a big 3 cheers.
Worthy hero. Sam Daddo is in for his first hero segment. First week on 5AA Breakfast. Good to have you on board, Sam. Who's your hero?
Thank you. Well, I only found out about this 5 minutes ago. I don't have one.
So did we.
So I'm going to keep mine close to home.
Yeah.
Last Friday night, I went out for a catch up with a mate, and it wasn't organised, but a few drinks may have happened. And at the moment, my mum's not too keen on me taking public transport.
Yes.
Or Ubers.
For COVID reasons.
Yeah. So phone call may have happened about 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Oh, your mum's your hero?
Yep, and she came down to pick me up.
Yes.
So thanks, Mum.
That is an excellent nomination,
Radio
Sam.
debut on Breakfast, and mum's my hero.
Yep. She'll be so happy.
That's a lifetime. A lifetime worth of credit there. That was a veteran move.
I know.
That
like
was brilliant, mate.
That was excellent.
Good way to get off the duck.
7 o'clock. Text us in your heroes if you got one. We don't have time for mine. It's 7 o'clock. Self-sacrifice. I'm the real hero here. Tell us the story about Barker. Text line 0480 1395. If you've got a hero, you can call us on 8223 0000.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny, 25 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
6 people have been arrested in a stolen car south of the city. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad says patrols attempted to stop the Ford sedan in the city just after midnight, but it kept moving.
It was pursued for a short time south through the CBD, but terminated for safety reasons. We did spot it again a short time later in the Goodwood area, but this time didn't pursue it, but just kept some observations of the car as it headed south on South Road and then onto the Southern Expressway.
The car stopped south of the Seacombe Road Bridge and all 6 occupants were arrested without incident. There were 5 men and 1 woman in the vehicle, aged between 21 and 40. The driver has been charged with engaging in a police pursuit, illegal use of a motor vehicle, driving unlicensed and drink driving. The passengers charged with illegal use of a motor vehicle. The Education Union will meet with the state government today to discuss the return to school plan. Teachers want more clarity on isolation and close contact requirements and the use of rapid antigen tests. They've threatened to walk off the job if their concerns are not addressed. The union's Andrew Goal says it's all about safety.
There's real health concerns around female teachers who are pregnant and, of course, those who are immunocompromised or who are going home to immunocompromised family members. As a union, safety is our thing. We want the safest workplace possible for students and staff.
Novak Djokovic is back in Serbia after being deported from Australia, but the pressure is rising on Tennis Australia CEO Craig Tiley. Nine's Brian Wilson reports from Melbourne.
Djokovic made the trip to Melbourne after assurances from Tennis Australia, with Tiley overseeing the medical exemption process that defied a no-vax, no-play directive from Premier Daniel Andrews and ignored written advice from Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt. Despite the involvement of the Victorian Health Department in issuing Djokovic the medical exemption, the Victorian government now continues to distance itself from the CEO, who is facing increasing calls to resign. Deputy Premier James Merlino.
That is entirely a matter for the TA board.
Tiley has been uncharacteristically absent from the Australian Open limelight since Djokovic was deported on Sunday night.
Convicted terrorists released from jail will be monitored by a new national register to make sure they aren't plotting further violent acts. Federal and state governments are drawing up plans for the system, which would be similar to what already exists for sex offenders. Australia is sending humanitarian aid to Tonga as a British woman becomes the first confirmed death from the volcanic eruption and tsunami. Nine's Lara Vella reports.
50-year-old British aid worker Angela Glover hadn't been seen since Saturday, when it's understood she was trying to save her beloved rescue dogs from being washed away by a tsunami wave. Her family have been posting on Facebook desperate for answers, but her brother Nick has now confirmed his sister's body has been found. International communications with Tonga could be down for at least 2 weeks, and HMAS Adelaide will leave Sydney for Brisbane to stock up on essential supplies before heading to Tonga.
And Barnaby Joyce and his former staffer Vicky Campion are now engaged. The Deputy PM revealing he popped the question while dining out on Sunday night. The 54 and 36-year-old have 2 young sons. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
Here's Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To tennis first, and 3 out of the 6 Aussies in action on day 1 of the Australian Open have progressed to the second round. Craig Gabriel reports.
In back-to-back weeks, Paula Badosa has beaten Alia Tomljanovic, this time 6-4, 6-love. But on the positive side for the Aussies, Ash Barty dropped only 1 game. John Millman advanced in 4 sets over Feliciano Lopez. And Sydney's Alexander Vukic upset 30th seed Lloyd Harris. Rafa Nadal and Alexander Zverev had wins, as did Naomi Osaka. And day 2 will feature Daniil Medvedev, Alex de Minaur and Emma Raducanu. Craig Gabriel, 9 News.
To cricket, and the Strikers are through to the Big Bash finals after notching their 4th straight win. Ian Cobain and Matt Renshaw each blasted half-centuries to down the Sixers by 8 wickets.
Cobain waited for it and zotted it right down to that side screen, nearly cracked it on the full. What a shot. Hasn't he produced some beauties?
Yeah, sensational stuff there. The Scorchers also defeated the Heat by 6 wickets. To football, and Tom Doedee says the Crows are back to near full strength after being hit with COVID during the Christmas break. Doedee telling the 5AA Sports Show managing the virus will be part of the norm this year.
We're rapid test every day to enter the club, so you have to submit that via photo before you actually enter the club, and then PCR test once a week unless something else pops up, and then outside of that it's just try not to live too much of a life that would cause you to contract COVID.
Well, finally, in the NFL, the Rams and Cardinals will clash later this morning in the last wildcard playoff match this season. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
At Bowden, expect delays on Hawker Street near Park Terrace due to closures on Torrens Road for works. Melrose Park, Watermain works continue there. That's Dawes Road near Winston Avenue. Speeds reduced. Flagstaff Hill, speeds also reduced there. Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road for those upgrade works, and Ashford works continue Woodville Park, that's on Port Road near Kilkenny Road. Look out for a camera 2, Lionel Avenue at Blairathal. Adelaide tradies, list your business on High Pages today and receive your first 5 leads for free. Visit the High Pages website for T's and C's. High Pages, behind every great home. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast, a top of 25 today and mostly sunny. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 29. Thursday warming up to 35 degrees. Right now it's 16. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 after 7, good morning to you. Welcome to Tuesday. If you're just joining us, we're about to sink our teeth into some of the developing stories of the morning.
With a bit of Susie Quattro to fire the people of Adelaide
to get you up and about.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you up and about.
Susie Q.
It's funny because the lead story that you're going to be hearing a lot about this morning is the opposite of getting up and about. Strike action is going to be the topic of the day. It might be the topic of the remainder of the week too, right around the country. The ACTU is threatening strike action unless employers vow to protect staff from contracting Omicron and provide employees with free rapid antigen tests. The demands followed a meeting of union heads yesterday. Other demands include every employer undertaking a new risk assessment for Omicron. That includes things like giving tests to people, but it includes also having upgraded masks available for staff and improved ventilation. Here's the head of the ACTU, Sally McManus.
But we are also experiencing and hearing employers putting people in harm's way, making people go to work when they're sick, putting pressure on casual workers when they're sick. For those employers who will not work with us to make workplaces safe, the union movement will do what is necessary up to and including ceasing work in order to keep workplaces safe, but also to stop the spread of this virus throughout our community.
I've got to say, the idea at a time when so many businesses and so many people's livelihoods have been smashed by the inherent lack of productivity brought about by a global pandemic, the idea of adding avoidable strike action into that mix is completely reckless. And I don't say that in some craven, it's all about the economy sense. It's all about people's ability to draw a wage. Because if businesses are hurt by some concerted national strike, it's going to do huge damage to the viability of businesses. And the real glass half empty sort of view that people like McManus have of workplaces, I would say, based on my own experience, certainly working here for Nova and other people I know, every employer I know, and please correct me if I'm wrong, folks, if you're working for some bum who's saying, well, we don't care if you've got COVID, you've got to come to work anyway, people like that should be prosecuted.
Yeah.
Because that is a clear violation of our health and safety. My reading of it is that businesses are scrambling like mad to try to make sure that their staff are working in a safe environment.
Well, the cost is already high for business to have an outbreak.
Yeah.
Because it goes through so quickly and rules everyone out for 7 days, including contacts in this state. You can't afford to have an outbreak. I'd be stunned if there are people out there saying you must come to work if you've got COVID. But as you say, if you've heard of one or you know one or you work for one, call us. These people deserve to be outed.
Yeah, absolutely.
The union of interest here in South Australia regarding strike action is, of course, as revealed in Breaking It 8 yesterday, the AEU. Teachers at government schools are voting on a union call to strike because of safety concerns over the rules. That would be held on the first day of term, Wednesday, the 2nd of February. Currently, the rules say if a student in a class has COVID, they don't go to school. Now, if you're in close contact with that student, you continue to come to school, but when you go out, you leave school, you've got to isolate from people. Now, you can imagine the burden that would place on teachers if they have to isolate 15 times over the course of the year.
I've been told in the last hour by a very well-placed source who's involved in this whole issue that the AEU is over-egging the omelette a bit about the extent of the isolation that teachers are going to have to go through if they're exposed to cases in their class. Apparently the AEU is not right about that. Apparently the teachers will definitely not be required to isolate from their own families. So it sounds like there's a more manageable and humane way of dealing with it.
That's good. That makes more sense.
I mean, the teachers got every right to be asking all sorts of questions about this, and it's the reason we asked the Premier about it yesterday. It feels like the whole thing, as it currently stands, is too vague by half.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter Malinowskis on after 8 o'clock would be a subject we pursue with him as well. Novak Djokovic is running out of places he's going to be able to play tennis.
Just this morning, France said that based on current rules, unvaccinated players will not be able to compete at the French Open in May. Most tennis players have been diplomatic about Djokovic's problems, but Rafael Nadal said yesterday, quote, "The Australian Open is much more important than any player."
It's not just the French Open too. The situation in Spain seems that he's not going to be able to play the Madrid Open there. The Spanish health rules say that you need to be vaccinated, and Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said yesterday that he wouldn't be able to play there under those circumstances, and also lauded Australia's decision to deport Djokovic, saying he has total respect for the decision of the Australian government. He's running out of places in Europe at very least to play, but that'll be 2 majors he can't play this year.
What about Wimbledon? There hasn't been any clarity from the English yet.
No clarity from there. And you'd imagine he'd be able to play in the US, given the...
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Well, does it depend on...
In New York, you need to be vaccinated to play. There's some high-profile examples like Kyrie Irving, who plays for Brooklyn, who can't play home games because he's not vaccinated. And it's at Flushing Meadows in New York.
You have to move the US Open to the Dakotas. That's one of those 98% Republican states where everyone's on the hydrochloroquine.
Exactly right. Continuing to follow the situation in Tonga as well. The situation there still isn't entirely clear. We've had flights from New Zealand and Australia trying to get a sense of what's happening there on the ground. Communication is still difficult. Some of it is actually coming now through the Red Cross. Here's Katie Greenwood from the Red Cross in Tonga reporting on the situation and trying to mobilise her staff.
Our worst case scenario is that we're figuring around about 80,000 people affected, and when we say that, affected could be in different ways. It could be that their water supply is affected. It could be that their homes are affected from inundation, from tsunami waves. There's a lot of ash and debris still falling around, And also we do have those disturbances from the tsunami waves that are happening every so often when there is a further eruption.
Full on.
Yeah, it is.
There's some amazing aerial footage that's been released overnight showing that there's one island in Tonga that's basically been split in half by the impact of the volcano, where it's just put this giant crack down the middle and it's just filled up with seawater. So one island's become two.
That's just remarkable. Getting some late nominations for Hero of the Week. Just before 7 o'clock, we had our heroes. One person said Hero of the Week, the pilot who flew Novak back to Serbia. Thank you. Brian says, I'd like to nominate my wife, Julie. Each week she buys flowers, gives them to complete strangers. The look on their face is priceless. She recently paid someone's shopping bill as they didn't have enough money. Oh, that's a real life hero, Brian's wife.
Fantastic.
Good on you, Brian.
That's lovely. Random acts of kindness.
Absolutely. 14 minutes after 7, 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line. I'm going to check traffic. Thanks to Glenelg BMW, an independent home for BMW, now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Bowden, expect delays on Hawker Street near Park Terrace. That due to closures on Torrens Road for works. Melrose Park, waterway works continue there. Dawes Road near Winston Avenue, speeds reduced. And Flagstaff Hill got speeds reduced there too. That's Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road for those upgrade works. A few cameras about today. Lionel Avenue, Blair Athol, Perry Bar Road, Hallett Cove, and the Southern Expressway at O'Halloran Hill. Need new flooring, blinds or rugs? Earn double Qantas points at Carpet Court across all carpet, hard flooring, blinds and rugs. Double Qantas points on now at Carpet Court. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The time is now. AC8 O'Connell brings new life to this landmark location. An opportunity to tell a new and unique story. A connected community with arts, culture, sport and entertainment on your doorstep. 2, 3 or 4 bedroom apartments with unparalleled views to the city, hills, coast and beyond. The long-awaited display suite is now open, showcasing the incredible lifestyle on offer at AC8 O'Connell. More than an address. AC8 O'Connell, North Adelaide.
The state government is moving ahead, modernising our state and creating thousands of jobs with its record $17.9 billion investment in infrastructure by providing better access to hospitals and healthcare closer to home, giving our children the world-class education they deserve, making roads safer and getting you home quicker, and improving nature-based experiences with our national parks and reservoirs. We're building what matters for all South Australians. Find out more at sa.gov.au. A message from the Government of South Australia.
Aura Retirement Resort in Findon is 5-star resort-style living with all the comforts, activities and services that you need to relax and enjoy life. Inquire now to secure your luxurious apartment in the Ruby Tower. Brand new 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartments start from just $370K. Start truly living at Aura by Live Well Findon. For more information, go to aurabylivewell.com.au or call their friendly sales team today.
Introducing the all-new Kia EV6, our first fully electric high-performance vehicle. With ultra-fast charging and over 510 kilometres of driving range. The Kia EV6 has advanced tech, a 12.3-inch panoramic curved display and 0 emissions. It's as silent as the critics. To find out more, visit kia.com.au.
Kia, movement that inspires.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderroll Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderroll.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
17 after 7, got into the office this morning, greeted by a very excited Lucy Loken, because she's managed to get in touch with the Australian Curling Federation because we are sending a team to China for the Winter Olympics. This was news to us, and we're going to fix that slight. Kim Forge is the president of the Curling Federation of Australia. Kim, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, Kim, we're intrigued by this. How does an Australian get into curling? I didn't even know that curling was a thing here in Australia.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't know it was either when I came here 20 years ago. You might have noticed from my accent that I wasn't born in Australia. I'm a Canadian. I immigrated about 20 years ago, and when I left Canada, I didn't think there was curling in Australia either. And my friend said, oh, well, what are you going to do, Kim? There's no curling there. And I said, it's all right. I'm going to represent Australia and we'll start curling. But in reality, there's been curling in Australia since 1986.
Yeah, right. Goes back that far. So in Canada, give us a sense of it. Like, what's the level of popularity that it enjoys? I mean, it's not up there with ice hockey, but it is very popular, isn't it?
It is up there with ice hockey.
It is?
Yeah, it
Wow.
would be on TV as much as the Australian Open tennis is now.
Seriously?
So,
wow.
Yeah, when the national championships for Canada come on in curling, there's 3 draws a day, just like the tennis here. It's very comparable. Like, there's a huge following, and it's a big deal in Canada and many different European countries, and it's become very popular in the United States in the last Olympic quadrennial as the men's team from the United States won the gold medal. It wasn't overly huge, but some of their major media broadcasters put it on TV, and it has grown exponentially. And we kind of expect the same to happen here.
I've always thought of it, Kim, as it's a bit like lawn bowls on ice. Is that, in terms of understanding the game, is that a decent entry point?
Yeah, it is. There's a little bit more to it than that. There's a lot of, and you know what? I know there's strategy involved in lawn bowls as well, but it's kind of like a chess on ice, but the physical stuff is similar to lawn bowls. You're at a stationary target, but you push off from the hack, and you push a rock that is 20 kilos down to a target, which is about 45 meters away.
So what's going on with the broom, Kim? When you see the people going mad, like pushing the broom back and forth on the ice, what are they trying to do?
Well, what they're trying to do is produce a little... The broom actually produces some friction, which causes the ice to melt. And this is the scientific bit. And then what happens is the rock actually travels a bit further, and you can direct the rock a little bit depending on where you sweep in front of it with angles and so on. You can't touch the rock. If you touch the rock, it's called burnt, and it's out.
Oh.
So that's disqualified. So you try and get as close as you can, and it actually helps direct it more accurately to the target that you're shooting for.
So who do we have to beat to win a medal here, Kim? Sounds like the US is right up there.
Well, sure, they are. So what happens is there's 10 teams that have qualified for the Olympics in curling, including China. And there's actually 65 countries that are vying for those 10 spots. So that's why it's so competitive and so tough, and why Australia hasn't made the Olympics until now. It's very difficult when we have no dedicated curling facilities in Australia. We actually host our nationals in New Zealand because that's the only dedicated curling rink we have. You can't just curl on ice hockey ice. It's not quite to the same standard as what you need to at this elite level. And to talk about the strongest curling countries, probably Sweden, Canada, Switzerland. They're all pretty good, unfortunately.
So who are the?
But we do have a shot.
Who are the names to watch? Who are the Aussies to get behind as we head off to Beijing?
Yeah. So the team that is qualified for mixed doubles in curling for Australia are Dean Hewitt and Tally Gill. And Dean lives in Melbourne, and Tally lives in Brisbane. They both come from curling families and backgrounds, because you might wonder, how did they get into curling? Well, both their sets of parents have also represented Australia back in the day.
Wow, so it's in their blood.
Yep, it is.
I like the name, Tali and Dean. They sound a little bit like the ice skaters. They're not going to come out with Ravel's Bolero playing in the background, are they?
Well, I guarantee you that the Australian public will love them. They are vibrant, they're young, they are great role models for our sport and our country.
Tali and Dean.
Well, we wish Tali and Dean all the best. That's fantastic.
Good on
Hey,
you, Kim.
thanks for coming on, and thanks for starting a sport in Australia that we are now top 10 in the world in.
Well, we're going to be on mainstream TV, so have a watch.
Certainly will.
Excellent.
Kim Forge, President of the Curling Federation of Australia. We're top 10.
How good's that?
Making the Olympics, as she said, 65 countries compete. 10 make it.
There'd be a lot of countries. Like there's probably some lesser Scando country that's hanging its head in shame because it got muscled out by the green and gold.
Is the Australian curling team the equivalent of the Jamaican bobsled team?
What's that, the Cool Runnings people?
Just the unlikely story in sport.
Maybe. Sounds like we only need a few nations in front of us to have a bit of a Stephen Bradbury type moment. Trip over the rock or something like that.
Get burnt, as Kim told us. Get burnt.
Drop the broom.
We started to talk sport inadvertently. Let's continue it and get into the sport with what happened last night on the sports show. And what largely happened on the sports show last night was Rowie got COVID and couldn't go in, but he still managed to contribute.
Stephen Rowe, what's going on, Rowie?
Oh, Bix and Leith and listeners, Happy New Year. Yeah, look, thanks for holding the fort, Bix. The new Neil Passmore Craig, you're a man for a crisis. Yeah, look, on the holidays, James got it on Boxing Day and we had 7 days in ISO, so 2022 hasn't started all that well for the Rowe family, other than the fact that it's been windy. But yeah, about 2 days ago I got symptoms, and honestly I've got a thick head, which people say I have anyway. I've got the aches and pains, maybe a tight chest, short of breath, wheezy cough and a temperature. Put it this way, Bix and Leith, you know you're crook. It's like the flu. I mean, I think tomorrow my doc said it'll be my worst day. But if it doesn't get much worse than this, you just got to do your time and take the 10 days and put the legs up and listen to you guys on the sports show.
Yeah, Rowie said to everyone that he knew straight away. Because there's a lot of people, I think, walking around at the moment, and look, I always put my hand up as the resident hypochondriac here. You start talking symptoms and I go, oh yeah, oh no, I can feel it coming on.
That's right.
I can't help but just sort of, some people are wired like that, and I think a lot of people walk around going, oh gee, I got a little... Rowie said,
Yeah.
It felt different. He felt genuinely sick, as opposed to just, slightly under the weather.
Well, the combination of symptoms does feel quite unique. Like if you get all of them, you know you haven't got a cold.
Exactly.
That's you haven't got a runny nose or something.
So we wish him all the best.
Yeah,
Sounds
absolutely.
like hopefully if today's his worst day, he'll be on the mend and back before we know it. We look forward to that. Love this story from the world of sport. Quirky one out of the UK. Before the kick-off at a home game against Bromley in the fourth round of the FA Trophy a couple of days ago, Mark Molesley, who was the manager of Aldershot Town, conducted an interview that's now gone viral. He was asked a pretty basic pre-game question. What are your thoughts ahead of the game?
Well, Mark, FA Trophy tie at home against Bromley this weekend. What's your thoughts ahead of the game?
If a tree falls and no one is there to hear it fall, does it make a noise? Does a penguin get cold? What way does your bathwater go? Clockwise or anti-clockwise when you take the plug out? These are questions which are going to be asked of us. These are questions we've got to have the answers to. We're always looking for solutions, and we've got to come up with solve the equation sometimes. But, Sam's had a lovely haircut. It's started to grow out now. Coops is here, working silently away. Robbie's over there. It's the first time he's been quiet today. Terry's brought a briefcase in, He's got 4 Japanese talking dogs in there. But, this is what we work with, and we'll continue to work hard.
Is that not the best pre-match interview you've ever heard in the history of sport?
He's got 4 Japanese talking dogs in there.
That's what we have to do.
Oh, that was unbelievable.
Yeah, it is absolutely fantastic.
It's like some obscure British sketch comedy.
Oh, he sounds like he's David Brent. Ricky Gervais,
totally.
Character from The Office.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, he was asked the very broad question, what are your thoughts ahead of the game? They didn't have to relate specifically to the event at hand. Mark,
what's the name of the team?
Aldershot Town.
Aldershot Town.
Yeah.
Never heard of them before.
No, I think they're
certainly not in the Premier League.
No, they're not. Everyone's second team.
He might have much of a future in football, but he's got a huge future in comedy. That was superb.
Absolutely sensational. 27 after 7, 5AA News on the way. We're talking pets with Dr. Derek in just a moment.
Ray White, big name in real estate, but also the biggest name in business broking. What makes us big? Our people, like Brett Buckley and his team. MBA, lecturer, and multi-time SA Business Broker of the Year. Brett doesn't just read a P&L, he feels it. If you're selling or expanding your business, Brett can take your business apart and find you more money. And we're not talking small change. Go on, touch base with Brett. Search Ray White Business Sales SA.
Everybody loves their country.
I'm John Miller from Harcourt's Real Estate. What turns browsers into buyers is that wow factor. And there's nothing that brings instant appeal quite like the unique elegance of plantation shutters. For a highlight that adds value and lifts the look of any home, there's no better investment.
Improve, invest and add value with quality plantation shutters by Country. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measure and quote.
'Cause everybody loves their country.
NAB is building more of what's important. That's why NAB Modbury is now open in a new location at Westfield Tea Tree Plaza. NAB's new branch offers more with a team that is ready to use their expert knowledge and personal service to help you with home loans, credit cards, personal loans and your everyday banking. Plus, NAB offers digital tools and support to help make 24/7 banking easier for you, no matter where you are. Visit NAB Modbury today at their new location, Westfield Tea Tree Plaza, North East Road at Modbury, for banking that puts what's important first. NAB, more than money. T's and C's, fees and charges and lending criteria apply.
Here at 5AA, we're all about supporting local. You can't get more local than Country Blinds. With manufacturing in the Adelaide Hills, showrooms at Unley, Henley Beach Road and Mount Barker, nobody knows local like Country Blinds.
What if your next holiday was always parked just outside the front door? Dave Benson Caravans sell your next holiday, and unlike an expensive overseas holiday, your dollar remains as an asset, your caravan. With over 120 new or used caravans and campers on display under one roof, the DBC Caravan professionals can tailor your next family holiday to your lifestyle and needs. Your Australian journey awaits and begins at Dave Benson Caravans, 64 Grand Junction Road, Kilburn.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Partly cloudy and 25 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au. RAA approved crash repairer.
There are growing fears the start of the school year could be thrown into chaos. Teachers are threatening to walk off the job if the state government doesn't address their COVID safety concerns. They want better ventilation in classrooms and free rapid antigen tests. The union's Andrew Gold says they'll hold talks with the Premier today.
I hope this marks a change in the government's attitude rather than treating educators with contempt in terms of their advice about how this should be implemented on the ground. But now they'll start to listen and make some changes about what that might look like. We're all about the same thing, safety for kids and staff.
6 people have been arrested in a stolen car in the southern suburbs. Patrols attempted to stop the Ford sedan in the city just after midnight, but it kept moving. The car eventually stopped near the Seacombe Road Bridge on the expressway, and all 6 occupants were arrested without incident. There were 5 men and 1 woman in the vehicle, aged between 21 and 40. The driver has been charged with engaging in a police pursuit, illegal use of a motor vehicle, driving unlicensed and drink driving. The passengers charged with illegal use of a motor vehicle. Well, the body of a British charity worker has been recovered after the weekend tsunami in Tonga. 50-year-old Angela Glover was trying to save her dogs when large waves triggered by an underwater volcano eruption swept her way. Angela's brother Nick says his sister and her husband had made a life there.
Angela and James loved their life in Tonga and adored the Tongan people. In particular, they loved the Tongan love of family and Tongan culture.
Novak Djokovic touched down in Serbia overnight after losing his bid to stay in Australia. The tennis world number 1 was deported late Sunday when the federal court upheld a decision by the immigration minister to cancel his visa. Djokovic's participation in this year's French Open is also in doubt. The country's sport minister says at this stage there'll be no vaccination exemptions for the tournament. A new documentary is set to reveal details of the relationship between Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell, including allegations of an intimate relationship. Nine's US correspondent Alison Petrowski has more.
As Prince Andrew battles sex abuse allegations, fresh claims from a former Buckingham Palace royal protection officer.
From the way she was allowed to enter and exit the palace at will, we suspected that she may have had an intimate relationship with Prince Andrew.
Paul Page revealing that Ghislaine Maxwell, the now convicted sex offender, was a regular palace visitor in 2001.
She kept coming in and out, in and out.
The allegations are set to air in a British TV documentary tomorrow night, with members of Maxwell's inner circle going on the record for the first time. Prince Andrew is being sued by Virginia Giuffre, who claims she was forced to have sex with the Duke of York 3 times against her will. Andrew has denied all allegations and will fight the lawsuit as a private citizen.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, Give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
It's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. To tennis first, and there's 12 Aussies in action on day 2 of the Australian Open. Among them, Nick Kyrgios, Alex de Minaur and Sam Stosur. Last night, John Millman progressed to the second round, along with Ash Barty, who dominated her match in straight sets.
It was nice and clean, it was. I think end to end I did a good job in adjusting. There is quite a little bit of wind at court level here, so I thought I did a good job, and some tough service games from down that end. But overall, I felt like I was able to find my forehands, control the court with my forehand, and I felt like tonight it was just nice and solid to get out here and play a decent match and just feel like I enjoyed it. I think that's the most important thing.
To cricket, and the Strikers are through to the Big Bash finals after defeating the Sixers by 8 wickets, while the Scorchers locked up the minor premiership after downing Brisbane. To basketball, and the 36ers will play their first game of 2022 against the Wildcats tonight. The match has been delayed multiple times due to COVID, but Perth coach Scott Morrison says that won't be an excuse for his side.
There was a lot of huffing and puffing in the first practice, and I'm sure we'll see some second wins, but we'll try to manage that best we can. And we just spoke to the guys about that not being an excuse because, everyone has had a big layoff and COVID tests and positives and everything else. So it's kind of an even playing field.
To soccer, and AC Milan has gone down 2-1 to Spezia in the Italian League. Well, finally, the Rams and Cardinals will clash later this morning in the last NFL wildcard playoff game. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Looking pretty good on the road today, just a few roadworks to keep in mind. Bowden got the odd delay there, that's around Hawker Street and Park Terrace due to those works on Torrens Road. Melrose Park got some waterworks happening on Dawes Road near Winston Avenue, speeds reduced there. And we've also got some speeds reduced to Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road for those upgrade works. Cameras, Anzac Highway, Ashford, Main North Road, Blarathal. The Amazon Back to School sale is live now. Shop epic deals on stationery, books and electronics at amazon.com.au today. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast, 25 and mostly sunny for your Tuesday. Mostly sunny tomorrow, 29. Thursday, partly cloudy, up to 35 degrees. Right now it's 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes to 8. The curling takeover of Australia may have already begun, David, following our chat with Kim Forge. We're in the Winter Olympics with the curling.
Tarly and
Dean. The new Torval and Dean. Jim in Walkerville says, boys, Kim's inspired me to start training for the next Winter Olympics in curling. Time to get the broom out and sweep the tiles. So this could be the best thing that's happened to domestic chores.
Mark said he was watching the Terrace last night with his wife as well, as I was. He said the curling on the TV blew me away. And my wife was also calling the chubby guy all sorts of names about how he spoke to his wife. How bizarre that we both watched what was episode 3 at the same time. For a show that's been out for
there
months.
You go. That's the secret to watching a show along with the rest of the world now. You just got to find the one person who's on the same timeline as you.
Yeah.
On planet Earth.
Like our old Succession nights last year.
Exactly right. At least that one came out weekly. It's worse when
true.
They all get dumped at once.
The Maltese dog, this surprises me. I feel like you don't see too many of these around, but for the third year running, the Maltese, fluffy little things, beautiful picture of one on page 7 of today's Tizer, by the name of Cruise, has topped the most popular dogs in South Australia. The top 10 is out. The Kelpie comes in second. The Labrador comes in third. I would have thought everyone seems to own some kind of oodle these days. We've got 2 cavoodles. I would have thought the cavoodle will be up there. But for the third year running, the Maltese has taken on all comers to win. Dr. Derek McNair is our resident veterinarian here at 5AA, runs the excellent Parade Norwood Veterinary. I can never say that word. That word and anaesthetist, I can't say, although I managed to pull it off then. Dr. Derek, how are you going there? The Maltese, who would have thought?
Yeah, it's not a big surprise, actually. We see quite a few around, and I guess with smaller sort of housing blocks and stuff like that, it does make more sense to have smaller dogs, and Maltese are just lovely. They're just lovely.
Are they maybe more of an indoor dog? Like people don't take them down the park to run around with the more sort of, boisterous animals?
Yeah, you don't see them as much at dog parks. You tend to see larger dogs, although there are a couple of small dog-only dog parks, which are a good idea. And you do see a few Maltese there. But yes, they're very loyal dogs. They like to be with their owners. They like to be at home and sitting on knees and just having company that they know. They like sort of stability. They don't like big change in their life. I sort of know I've actually got and you're talking about the crosses, I've got a Maltipoo, which is a Maltese cross poodle.
A Maltipoo?
A Maltipoo. So I guess my Scottish side was coming out because I got her from the RSPCA because she'd been abused, and we got her, and she's lovely because to buy a pedigree now is a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. And it's gone up massively over the course of the last 2 years as well. I was talking to someone about it the other day. When you look at that list of the top 10 most popular dog breeds in Australia now, Dr. Derek, is your sense that Australians are making smart choices on the sort of dogs that they want to take home?
Yes. I'm not sure. A lot of those dogs in the top 10, about sort of 7 of them are very, very active. You get the Kelpies, Labrador, Staffies, German Shepherds are always there, and cattle dogs are always there. And the problem with these dogs is that they are very active, and some people who choose them, not all people obviously, but some owners who choose them don't realise how much energy they have, how much exercise they need to be given. And so, unfortunately, and all vets see this, that we see these dogs with psychological problems and separation anxieties and destructive behaviour because they're just left in a small backyard and they're not allowed to roam free as their genetics tell them that they're meant to be doing.
Over the last couple of years, Dr. Derek, has pet ownership gone up during the pandemic? As people have become more housebound? Is there any indication that the pattern of dog and cat ownership has changed? Yes.
Pet ownership has risen. I think in that article it says that it's sort of risen by about 3%. We sort of feel it's probably risen by more than that, just by the increase in traffic, if you like, in vet clinics. All vet clinics have become very busy, which I guess is nice for us, apart from the fact that there's far fewer vets around to work at the vet clinics. But yes, a lot of people, I think, when they were stuck at home, they thought, I might have some different company from the wife now. I'll just get something else to pat and that won't talk back to me.
Oh, dearie me.
Sounds like you're part vet, part relationship counsellor. Sometimes.
Oh, good on you, Derek. That's fantastic. Thanks for joining us, and we always love catching up with you. There you go. The Maltese does it again.
Number 1, 3rd year running.
I've got to say, the one genuinely great thing that has happened in the world over the last month is this.
Guys, I am obsessed with Wordle. Can't stop, won't stop. Okay, what is Wordle?
It is the hottest thing since Sudoku and maybe even sliced bread.
Well, this sounds like you've gotten into crypto. What is this?
No, it's not.
You've been falling in with a cult.
It is elegant in its simplicity. Do you remember the game Mastermind that came out in the 1970s with the coloured dots behind the little hidden screen? You had to guess them. It was a mathematically driven game. I can't do numbers games. If you hand me a Sudoku book, I break out in a cold sweat. I don't even know where to start. Wordle is like a sort of Scrabble meets Mastermind type game, and it's superb. One of the nice things about it is a guy who works at the website Reddit just invented it for fun in his spare time. So it's not an app. You don't have to pay for it. There's no ads on it. You don't have to sign up with your email. It is a simple website that clicks in at midnight every night, and it gives you one game a day. So there are 6 grids of 5 spaces each, and I'll do it live. I haven't done today's Wordle yet.
Okay.
So what you have to do is you just start with any 5-letter word. Give me a 5-letter word, Will. All right, let's do radio.
Okay.
And a tip, it's always good to pick a word that's got a couple of vowels in it. So I'll hit enter on radio.
If you're watching the live stream, it
tough.
Would have been revealed that I have to count on my fingers.
So what happens is I typed in the word radio. The R came up in a light brown colour. The A, the D, the I came up in grey. and the O came up in a brown colour. So what that means is that it's a 5-letter word that includes the letters O and R, except not in that spot. So I need to think of a word that doesn't include A, D or I, but it does include R, and it does include O. So I'll go for probe. Oh, excellent result.
Okay.
So I've got PRO in green.
Is probe always front of mind for you as a
green?
word?
It has been with these rat tests. PRO is in green. That's an excellent guess. So that means that PRO are the right letters in the right spot. So now what I need to do is just have another guess.
Right.
And try to think of the last two. Okay. So I've put in PRO. It's kind of high pressure doing it on
you're live.
Radio.
Lucy's just made the point, and I'm not familiar with the game, but because everyone on the planet Earth gets the same word, this is a spoiler. This is like...
Maybe I shouldn't do it. Because there'll be people listening now going, don't finish it.
We need that music that they used to play on for Friday night football, or on Saturday afternoons. If you don't want to know the scores, look away now.
That's right.
And like right on the tip of my tongue would play. And
all right, I won't finish it. But look, the beautiful thing about this game, and it's become like a cult thing.
It is big.
People
globally
upload their results to Twitter, and I've never done that. In fact, I've only written a tweet for about a year. But there's just something really satisfying about it. It takes about 5 minutes, and you get 6 guesses. And I've never not got it out, although about 3 times of the 20 odd times I've done it, I've got it on the 6th go, which is real, seat of the pants stuff. But folks, if you haven't got into it, we'll put up a link to the website on our FIVEaa social things. But it is hugely addictive.
What's happened since?
It's great.
We've been back 2 days. I railed against Bluetooth headphones this morning, and suddenly you're doing app gaming reviews.
No, it's not an app. It's not an app.
What's happened to this program?
No, this is like, I reckon it's actually like a bit of an anti-technology type thing. It's all it is a website. You can just hit refresh every. If you're a night owl, do it every night at midnight, or if you're more of an early morning person like we are, just at one point find a moment during the day and do a Wordle. Very satisfying.
14 minutes to 8. Time to check traffic, thanks to Glenelg BMW. If you've got an existing BMW service inclusive package, book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
Thanks, Will. Looking pretty good on the roads at the moment. Simply some roadworks to keep in mind at Bowden. Delays there, Hawker Street near Park Terrace. That's due to closures on Torrens Road. Flagstaff Hill got speeds reduced on Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road for those upgrade works. And Myrtle Bank speeds reduced for works around the intersection of Cross, Glen Osmond and Portrush Roads. A few cameras today. Ailofs Road, St Mary's. Dawes Road, Melrose Park. Grand Junction Road at Jepps Cross. In search of a little more? Experience a little more of South Australia this summer. Visit southaustralia.com for last-minute holiday deals, things to do and places to stay. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability. Get world-leading safety. And get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service and hire. Get a Toyota forklift.
When you die, who gets what? Will your kids or relatives argue over your estate? Will your beneficiaries be protected? Will your estate be tax effective? Will your wishes be respected and carried out? Speak with Donlan Lawyers now for peace of mind. Donlan Lawyers for wills and estate planning. Visit donlanlawyers.com. That's donlanlawyers.com.
Leon here. I trust Zen Energy to help keep me cool in the summer. Adelaide's own Zen Energy is resetting how we do renewable energy in Australia. As we know, solar is the best way to reduce our carbon footprint, build a better world and save on power bills. It's not too late to access government rebates, so get in quick before prices increase. Contact our friends at Zen Energy and tell them Leon sent you for an even better offer. Visit zenenergy.com.au. That's zenenergy.com.au.
Not all milk is created equal. The Flurio Milk Company is a perfect example. It's real milk, no additives, no preservatives, 100% local, straight from the farm to your table within hours. The Flurio Milk Company pasteurise and bottle their milk on the farm. Doesn't get any fresher than that. Fuel up with Flurio Milk this January and grab yourself any 2 500ml flavoured milks for just $5 at your local ex-convenience. Flurio Milk Company, the milk for all South Aussies.
Hello, Frank Walker from National Tiles. I take our National Tiles lowest price guarantee very seriously. Our team consistently check prices all over Australia to ensure National Tiles has the guaranteed lowest prices every day of the year. However, if we slip up, I personally guarantee National Tiles will beat any price on identical tiles by 10%. National Tiles, the guaranteed lowest price quality tiles in Australia. Conditions apply.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
Goodbye, my friend, it's hard to die.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
11 minutes to 8. John Blake coming up in just a moment. Let's talk about the weather first. Interesting week weather-wise. Jessica Braithwaite for 9 News on the line to break it all down for us. Jessica, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. You're right. There's heaps going on, isn't there? I was doing my weather report last night and I was wondering if I could have an extra minute because there's so much going on. But like today's good. I mean, today's really nice. We've sort of got that mild weather and plenty of sun around and 25 degrees. It just could be a bit windy from time to time, and I'm just especially thinking about those gully winds that sort of rip through the foothills in the southern suburbs. Perhaps maybe they might be strongest tonight into tomorrow morning, so keeping an eye on that. And then we start to turn the dial on the temperature, so we're up to 29 degrees tomorrow in Adelaide. Of course, while all of this is happening, we've got the big rain happening up north, so that ex-tropical cyclone Tiffany is sort of the remnants of that are coming through, crossing over our north and western borders. So we've got some flood watches in place up there. It's hard to know exactly how much rain we're getting because there aren't a lot of rain gauges out that way. But, you know, I think the creeks are probably going to be running and keep an eye out for road closures. For Adelaide, we're actually looking dry for most of the week, but we're warming up. So Thursday, we're up to 35 degrees. Friday, 34 degrees. On Friday, we start to see the hints of some instability here, maybe a shower coming through, but it's more so the weekend when we'll get some of this weather coming in. So Saturday, we're at 31 degrees at the moment. It's one of those weird days where it'll be hard to predict the rainfall. They're saying maybe 15 millimetres with some storms. It really just depends if you get a storm or not. You might get, you know, heaps of rain if a storm lands right on top of you, or you might get nothing. So we'll watch that. Sunday, 27 degrees, feeling quite humid again with that sort of muggy, stormy system coming through. And at this stage, Monday, next week, going for 26 degrees. So we do really have whatever type of weather you like. We have something for everyone over the next few days.
Steamy and balmy.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff, Jess.
Thank you, Jesse.
As Tess said on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line, it's not so much a pea super, Will, as pina colada weather this weekend.
Is that? Yeah, we can make that work.
Yeah, pina colada.
Pina colada weather.
Fire up the old linen suit.
I think Cyclone Tiffany's following me back from Queensland at the moment.
Did you get caught up in that up there?
Yeah, we did. We got trapped in our hotel room for 24. Well, no, our room in the hotel for 24 hours because the Mossman River flooded. And we were staying right on the banks of it.
Isn't it full of like 5 metre long salties?
Wasn't, no. Well, we swam in it and they seemed to say it was fine. Maybe they were laughing. I'm not sure.
You swam in it?
Yeah. Well, there's like little lagoons and areas that obviously secluded. I don't know. They said
they fenced
it was safe.
off?
They said it was safe. Don't look at me like that.
Mossman River.
You know my penchant for bravery.
I would have thought after you brush with the titanium triggerfish, you'd be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, no
things of an aquatic nature.
Yeah, look, I'm not brave about it. But yeah, we had to battle around. We couldn't the next day though because it flooded. It was a sort of 90 mils in 60 minutes type stuff going on. Like the rain was insane. And at one point, when we were due to check out, as we were checking out, they said, "Oh look, you're not going to be able to leave at the moment because the bridge is flooded." And they said, you might just hang around for a few hours. And we were like, oh, yeah, no problem. So we sat around. A few hours later, they came back and they said, yeah, so the camera we used to monitor the flood camera, has floated away. You're probably not leaving today. So then they said, yeah, you're going to have to stick around for another 24 hours. So we stayed in and watched in the middle of the rainforest. There's the most unbelievable storm and incredible amount of water. And what was the day before, and I put up some photos on my Instagram of this, what was like a little lagoon that we were paddling around in suddenly was a raging river. It was just unbelievable.
It's hard to wrap your head around as South Australians. It's one thing we never really get, apart from like, what was it, Mannum in 1952 or something. But the idea of genuine floods is very hard to relate to as a South Australian.
As equally as amazing as what it was to watch and see it develop, it disappeared in 24 hours. Once the rain stopped, it flowed through and went back out to sea and was all okay.
It's a stunning part of the world, isn't it?
It's beautiful, but you got me thinking about those big crocs now.
I haven't flown anywhere for 2 years.
I'll tell you what it was like flying. You have your choice of seats. We had, I reckon, 2 of the flights we were on had fewer than 24 people on them.
Seriously?
You always got a spare seat in your row if you're travelling with your partner, and you could generally, if you wanted to, move to a place where there was a free row in front and behind you. There was no one anywhere.
Did you have to stay masked the whole time?
Yep, masked the whole time. Melbourne Airport felt like something, it was a setting for a post-apocalyptic drama. There's an arm there, people will know who fly back from Melbourne to Adelaide regularly. They always put the Adelaide flight right down the very end, gate 10, but it's of 25, and you walk down an entire row of the Melbourne Airport. We did that. We were the only 2 people in that whole arm of the airport where there were 25 gates until about 5 minutes before the plane took off, and then the other 15 people that were getting on board wandered down.
And
it was
unbelievable. It's normally like Grand Central Station around
Totally.
there. What about the businesses in the Melbourne airport? Were they all open?
None of them were open. Nothing was open. We were worried about getting a connecting flight back through Melbourne, thinking, going COVID Central and then trying to come back for work. Is that smart? The moment we touched down, we went, oh no, this is not a problem. There was no human beings there.
What about the food places?
Nothing was open.
So like when you walk in, there's that Hungry Jack's on the left, like that's all shut?
Yeah, that was all shut.
Wow.
Now, that might be just the time of day we were there. I'm not sure. But it was the middle of the day. Nothing was open. It was unbelievable.
Bizarre.
5 to 8. It's time for some John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. If you're looking for work, give Aussie Fast Transport Solutions a call. They do a great job. 13 13 64 is the number for you. Call 13 13 64.
Now, a news update with Mike Amor and Rebecca Madden.
Australia will send a military rescue mission to Tonga, which has been devastated by a massive volcanic eruption that triggered a tsunami. An Australian military plane will depart for Tonga to assess the devastation from the volcanic eruption, despite earlier delays due to a lingering huge ash plume over the Pacific nation.
That's quite a shitstorm, Mike.
Oath, Rebecca.
In other news, that spoilt little arsehole Prince Harry and his annoying wife Meghan Markle will take legal action against the British government after they were stripped of their 24-hour security. Prince Harry and Meghan wanted to bring their son Archie and baby daughter Lilibet to the UK from the US, but they feel their family are unable to return home because of safety fears. Boo. Who?
And that complete arsehole Novak Djokovic is on his way back to Serbia after the federal court unanimously upheld the cancellation of that twat's visa on public order grounds.
He's an arsehole.
And finally, the latest television news ratings figures have been released, and it's amazing how our ratings have jumped because of someone leaking footage of us talking like normal human beings.
Yes, the ratings have shown that people are completely sick of newsreaders sitting here on their pretentious asses pretending to be squeaky clean and are actually crying out for news presenters to be a bit more natural.
That's stating the bleeding obvious.
Sure is, Mike.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great night.
That wasn't satire. John Blake was right. The ratings went through the roof after that incident.
Well, I thought the leaked footage, apparently it was the people who do the deaf captioning. Someone there did it.
Right.
Although it may yet have been an accident. But anyway, it was.
How is it an accident?
Well, I think
it looked
the company behind it said. But yeah, you watched it, and you just felt like you were talking to 2 of your mates.
Yeah.
As opposed to the normal TV.
It humanised them.
Yeah, it was good.
TV newsrooms are terrified that their presenters will have something of an opinion or be controversial. There's still a very old-fashioned view about respectability. And
well, it's like, when the auto cue was changed for Ron Burgundy.
Exactly right.
Stay classy, San Diego. He'll read anything that's put on the auto cue. I still reckon the first half of that movie is terrifically funny.
2 minutes to 8, 5AA News on the way. Breaking 8 coming up shortly. Peter Malinauskas will be on the program as well after 8 o'clock.
I wasn't sure about making new mates when I moved to FIVEaa. Turns out I didn't have to worry. I do balance classes with the troops twice a week, and then I catch up with everyone when I man the bar for happy hour. That's about the right balance for me. Yeah, well, I wish I'd made the move to FIVEaa sooner.
There's never been a better time to take the first step to great retirement living. Search FIVEaa First Step today.
G'day, it's Jared Walsh for Wayville Mitsubishi. Wow, there's some exciting stuff happening. The iconic Wayville Australian Motors Mitsubishi Service Centre on Goodwood Road is going through a spectacular rebuild. So while that's in progress, please drive into Davenport Lane to drop your vehicle off for servicing. As always, you can expect the very best servicing and repairs, so it's business as usual. Just drive into Davenport Lane to drop your vehicle off to the incredible Wayville service team, driven by Australian Motors.
Some concrete companies can be a little... But at Adelaide Exposed Concrete, we're changing all that. We're a team of highly skilled, highly professional tradespeople with a passion for delivering stunning exposed aggregate driveways, paths and entertaining areas. The best part for us isn't packing up, it's admiring the job we've done. Adelaide Exposed Concrete. Best on ground, all year round.
I'm Travis Denham from Again Real Estate. It's often just one special feature that helps spark interest in a home. Outdoor blinds used to create entertaining areas really set a home apart. They add extra appeal to patios and alfresco areas, an investment that adds value for sure.
Improve, invest and add value with quality outdoor blinds by Country. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measure and quote.
'Cause everybody loves their country.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny, 25 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact Premier Panel Services at premierpanel.com.au.
The state's teachers will vote on whether to strike over the return to school plan. They're concerned about COVID isolation rules, ventilation in classrooms and availability of rapid antigen tests. The Education Union will meet with the government today to discuss the issues. There are calls for more free rat collection points in the northern suburbs. Sites are being opened across the state, including at Murray Bridge and Port Augusta, but Shadow Health Minister Chris Picton says the northern suburbs have been overlooked.
Salisbury Council outlined that they're an area that has a higher rate of COVID than elsewhere, has a lower public transport use than elsewhere, and has a lower vaccination rate than elsewhere, meaning how important it is for people to have access to testing.
6 people have been arrested in a stolen car tracked from the city to the Southern Expressway. The Ford sedan was spotted in the CBD just after midnight. It eventually stopped near the Seacombe Road Bridge. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad says charges have been laid.
There was 5 men and 1 woman aged 29, so they've all been arrested. The driver's been charged with engaging in a police pursuit, unlicensed drink driving and obviously the illegal use of the motor vehicle.
The search for a missing 9-year-old Queensland girl in the New South Wales Blue Mountains is entering a 5th day. Fears are growing for Charlize Mutton, who was last seen on Thursday. She wasn't reported missing until the following day. New South Wales police are treating the young girl's disappearance as suspicious. Novak Djokovic has returned to Serbia with his participation in another tennis tournament in doubt. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank has more.
From one predicament to the next, Novak Djokovic has touched down in his hometown of Belgrade, only to face new fears about his chances of competing in the French Open. Despite earlier reassurances that he would be able to play, the French Parliament has just passed a new vaccine pass law, which means Djokovic's vaccination status puts him at risk of not being able to defend his title there either. After being deported from Australia, Novak Djokovic touched down here in Serbia today to be reunited with family. There were plenty of supporters showing up at the airport to welcome him home.
The brother of a British charity worker killed when a tsunami flooded Tonga says her death has been a terrible shock for their family. 50-year-old Angela Glover was attempting to rescue her dogs when she was swept away. Her husband was able to cling to a tree. Angela's brother Nick has flown to Australia from the United Kingdom to help his mother through this difficult time.
This is just a terrible shock that's happened to us. You know, we're ordinary people. Stuff like this just doesn't happen to people like us, but then it does.
Back-to-back earthquakes have hit western Afghanistan, killing more than 20 people. The tremors clocking in at 4.9 and 5.3. Hundreds of homes have been damaged, and it's feared the death toll will rise. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. Aussie John Millman has advanced to the second round of the Australian Open after defeating Feliciano Lopez in 4 sets last night.
Started off really well, and Feliciano I don't think was serving too well. That's obviously his strength, but he started landing that first serve in the third and fourth set, and I thought maybe I'd blown it a little bit in that fourth set. I had a couple of little break points, but he came up with some great serves under pressure, but I think probably the crowd got behind me.
Ash Barty also has dominated her match in straight sets, while Thanasi Kokonakis and Aled Tomljanovic are out. Nick Kyrgios and Alex de Minaur and Sam Stosur will be in action later today. To cricket, and the Strikers are through the Big Bash finals after defeating the Sixers by 8 wickets. In Cobain starred with 71 not out. The Englishmen a late season pick up by Adelaide.
Playing a bit of club cricket in Melbourne, obviously the Strikers had a couple of players go down, and Dan Worrell threw my name in the hat, which I know Dan from back home for Gloucestershire, so he threw my name in the hat and things fell into place, and here I am. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest.
That audio thanks to Fox. To football, and Crowpool Seedsman is still battling with concussion symptoms a month after copping a head knock at training. Tom Duday telling the 5AA Sports Show the club is continuing to manage the wingman's welfare during pre-season.
First Cito, unfortunately, it's just a constant popping up of symptoms on different activities and things like that. So because they've been lingering around for a while, we're not taking any risks with it.
And finally, the 36ers take on the Wildcats tonight for their first game of the new year after the match was postponed multiple times due to COVID. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Do you have an existing BMW service inclusive package? Book your next day service at Glenelg BMW.
At Brunel East got a smash at the intersection of Palantinga Road and Brunel Road. Bowden, expect delays on Hawker Street near Park Terrace. That's due to closures on Torrens Road for works. Flagstaff Hill, speed reduced Flagstaff Hill Road near South Road. That's for those upgrade works. And we've got cameras today, Ailofts Road, St Mary's, Exeter Terrace, Dudley Park, and Coobert Road at Colonel Light Gardens. Now they're heading back to the classroom after pay your back-to-school supplies. T's and C's apply. Visit afterpay.com for details today. Pay better. Choose Afterpay. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast, a top of 25 and mostly sunny today, mostly sunny tomorrow 29, Thursday partly cloudy but with a top around 35. Right now it's 17 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderall Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderall.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 8, breaking at 8 coming up shortly. Have you got a loved one living in aged care at the moment? There's been outbreaks in about a third of our aged care homes in South Australia with COVID at the moment. Part of that's residents. A lot of it has to do with staff. It's posing all sorts of problems. What's life like in Adelaide's aged care facilities at the moment? We'd like to hear from you. You can remain anonymous if you like. Are you happy with how it's been handled? Have you got some concerns? 8223 is the number. We're going to do some more work on that after 8:30 today. But we'd love to speak to some people who are directly affected. Maybe you can't get to, a lot of people's situation is as simple as this. You just can't get in to see a loved one. You can text us too on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line 0448 08 1395. The leader of the Labor Party in South Australia, Peter Malinauskas, coming up in just a moment.
Just before breaking it out, well, to that point you made, there's a heartwarming and heartbreaking story on page 6 of today's Advertiser about a 99-year-old woman called Marjorie McCrow who is celebrating her 100th birthday tomorrow. And her family, she's got 19 grandchildren and 40 great-grandchildren. they'd all planned a get-together for her. I mean, turn 100, that's the big one heck of an achievement. Lovely photo of her with a little knitted knee rug, crocheted knee rug, those square ones like my grandma Pen used to make, just sitting there in a aged care home at Woodcroft, hoping to see her rallies. And, you know, that's the human face of what so many families are going through as a result of all this. Well, the big story this morning is the ACTU doing their sabre rattling, saying that they're going to be out there threatening strike action or going ahead with strike action if employers who, in the ACTU's strange assessment, seem to have some magic money tree whereby, having suffered in some sectors unprecedented collapses in revenue and the ability to employ and pay their staff, are now suddenly meant to be single-handedly responsible for procuring rapid antigen tests out of thin air. I've spoken to a number of business leaders this morning during the show who say that one of the as yet unquantified hits, particularly in hospitality, over the last 2 months as Omicron cases have surged, is business is about to get absolutely belted with a massive sick leave bill. And it's actually... the impact of this is twofold, because it's bad. It's really bad for casual workers too, because obviously they don't have any access to sick leave at all. So one part of it is that you've got all of these casual workers who are going without because they're either sick or they're forced to isolate, so they can't go to work because they're close contacts. Maybe one of their workmates has got it, so they're told, well, you're a close contact, you've got to disappear as well. Or they're salaried staff, they're permanent staff, and they're not going into work. And as a result of not going into work, they're claiming their sick leave as they're entitled to. But I've been told by some people that the bills that they're facing are across these industry sectors are running into millions and millions of dollars. So to throw the prospect of strike action into the mix there, and I actually think it's uncharacteristically stupid for Sally McManus to be exploring this, because she's actually been reasonably level-headed and collegiate for a lot of the pandemic. But at a time when all of these as yet unquantified hits, particularly sick leave, are about to emerge, it just seems to be the ultimate form of craziness to be going down that path.
Might want to be careful striking, because there might not be a job to go back to.
Well, exactly.
That's the reality of the situation.
Absolutely.
At the moment. 8:10, we'll continue to follow that story over the course of the day. There's a few that have been developing over the morning as well that we'll get you across right now, including idiocy times 6 caught up with by SAPOL overnight.
Police have spotted a stolen Ford sedan on King William Road at Adelaide. It was just after midnight. Attempted to stop the car, however, the drivers refused to pull over. Checks revealed that car had been stolen from the CBD yesterday morning. It was pursued for a short time south through the CBD, but terminated for safety reasons. We did spot it again a short time later in the Goodwood area, but this time didn't pursue it, but just kept some observations of the car as it headed south on South Road and then onto the Southern Expressway. It's then stopped just south of Seacombe Road Bridge, and police were able then to approach and arrest all of the occupants. 5 men, varying ages between 27 to 40, 1 woman aged 29, so they've all been arrested. The driver's been charged with engaging in a police pursuit, unlicensed drink driving, and obviously the illegal use of the motor vehicle, and the 5 other passengers.
So he's drunk driving this car with his 5 mates?
Yeah, some smart choices being made early on in the year, Dave.
Yeah, not smart at all, Kimberly.
Very droll.
Very droll. There's the expectation, the language the Red Cross is using, and spoke when we played a bit of what they had to say earlier, is that there's an expectation some 80,000 people will be affected on Tonga when the ash cloud clears and they can start to assess the damage wrought by the volcanic explosion there. The death toll is 1, though. That has been confirmed as 50-year-old Angela Glover. She was trying to save her dogs. A large wave, in fact it was, that triggered by the eruption swept her away. Her brother Nick has spoken about his sister and the life that she was making there in Tonga.
Angela and James loved their life in Tonga and adored the Tongan people. In particular, they loved the Tongan love of family and Tongan culture.
The expectation is there'll be more stories to come out of this, but at this point in time, very early days in assessing what the damage is. And then there's all sorts of issues with regard to displacement and water quality that the Red Cross are looking at as well. For much happier news, we learnt that we are top 10 in a new brand new for us, sport here in Australia. Australia, in appearing at the Winter Olympics, beat out 55 other countries to become one of the top 10 curling nations on earth. Wasn't even a sport before Kim Forge arrived in Australia some 20 years ago and is the head of Curling Australia, and we spoke with her just after 7 o'clock.
Guarantee you that the Australian public will love them. They are vibrant, they're young, they are great role models for our sport and our country.
Looking forward to watching our newest sporting heroes.
I'm just trying to find out, when do the Winter Olympics actually start?
18 days.
18 days, there you go.
You see Dean and Tarley. They become household names, but you heard them here first on 5AA Breakfast with Kim Forge, who brought the sport to Australia. 13 after 8 and time for Fuel Watch, thanks to Glenelg BMW. If you've got an existing BMW service inclusive package, book your next day service at Glenelg BMW. A couple of cheap spots for you. The Liberty Marion Road, Marion at $1.45.9. The BP on the Run, Churchill Road at Kilburn, $1.49.7. This is really good. The Ex-Convenience, North East Road, Hampstead Gardens, $1.39.3. Thank you very much. And Rob's Fuels, Findon Road, Findon, $1.44.9. Some good spots to fill up this morning. Peter Malinauskas is coming up in just a moment, but first we'll check traffic. Also, thanks to Glenelg BMW, a new and independent home for BMW that's now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. Ranella East got a smash at the intersection of Penberthy Road and Renell Road, causing a few delays. Bowden expect delays there. Hawker Street near Park Terrace, that's due to those closures on Torrens Road for works. And Mile End got a few restrictions there too. That's for works on Henley Beach Road near South Road. Speeds at 40 k's. Cameras today, Main North Road, Enfield, Dawes Road, St Mary's, and the Salisbury Highway at Wingfield. Clean is the new healthy at Guzmani Gomez Mexican Kitchen. No added preservatives, artificial flavours, colours or unacceptable additives. Burritos and bowls just $9.90 via the GYG app. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Go Vita, your local health food shops. Over 30 years health and wellness experience and over 300 natural health practitioners specialising in you.
Hi, I'm Wayne from your local Go Vita store in Mount Barker. Come into any of our Go Vita stores for this great special. Nutrivital Vitamin D 1000 IU 200 caps was $22.95, now $13.75.
Go Vita, Colonnades, Fairview Green, Marion, Mount Barker, Manopara, Semaphore and Tanunda.
With destinations like the Barossa Valley, your best adventures are right here in South Australia. Switch your electricity and gas to Red Energy on a Qantas Red Saver plan today and you'll get 15,000 bonus Qantas points plus 2 points per dollar on every energy bill you pay on time. Switch on to Red Energy now on 131 806 so you can switch off on a South Australian holiday later. Residential customers only. Eligibility criteria and conditions apply. Basic plan information documents available at redenergy.com.au/BPID.
Ken Hall Plumbers have been providing the highest quality plumbing for over 30 years, and it's no surprise their customers then ask, well, Ken, you've nailed the whole plumbing racket. Anything else you do? Well, here's the good news.
Where do you start?
They do everything. What started out as plumbing now includes electrical fixes, gas fitting, roof repairs, tiling, home maintenance and bathroom renovations.
And it's such a great South Australian story because what Ken started in his family home, it's now grown into Adelaide's leading complete home services company with more than 130 staff and 21 apprentices on board, delivering the highest standard of workmanship around the clock.
But at its heart, Ken Hall Plumbers is still a close, proud, local family business. The whole family are very much involved day to day still, and they continue that legacy of reliable, unbeatable service.
Great bloke and a great team. If you haven't experienced the Ken Hall Service and Trades team, why not try them for your next problem that comes up at home or at work? Give Ken a call 24/7.
Now, you can scan your Flybuys card at Bunnings Warehouse and Officeworks. Collect points on the latest tech, your DIY deck, barbecue bits, and back-to-school lists. 2 more places to collect Flybuys points. Get scanning. T's and C's apply.
Don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift.
When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability. Get world-leading safety and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For sales, service and hire.
Get a Toyota forklift.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Jump in my car.
Gliderol Garage Doors' new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Coming up to 18 minutes after 8, we're going to speak with Jane Musford from the Council of the Ageing after 8:30 today to talk aged care homes in South Australia. Right at the start of the outbreak, that was almost all of our conversation was about protecting the most vulnerable in the community, and it's sort of drifted away until being emblazoned on the front page of the Tiser this morning that a third of the facilities here in South Australia are currently experiencing some form of outbreak, and coming with that is there's all sorts of issues with regard to access to seeing loved ones, whether it's their 100th birthday or just your regular Monday catch-up, whatever it might well be. So we're going to get into that issue, and we'd love you to be part of that chat. If you were someone who attends regularly, you're an aged care worker perhaps, whoever you might well be, give us a call. Let us know what it's like inside these facilities right now, given the issues they're facing. 8223 0000.
One man who knows a fair bit firsthand about isolation is Peter Malinauskas. He spent most of the last fortnight cooped up at home after contracting COVID, along with his wife and their 3 young children. My understanding is that he's out of ISO now. I think his family get out today. We've got him on the line. Peter, good morning and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Penbo. Happy New Year, Will. Good to have you back.
So, is everyone out now? The whole family's out? Everyone accounted for?
My wife is, as we speak, I think, packing up the car at home, piling the kids in there because they are desperately keen to get down to the beach. I don't know if it's the perfect weather for it, but they've been climbing the walls for the last 10 days, so they're pretty excited to be getting out. I've been out for the last few days, I've been out since Thursday last week. So, but it's been an interesting 10 days at home. I mean, thankfully the kids are well, but they've been climbing the walls, it's fair to say.
having experienced now a couple of times having to do this, and not that it necessarily actually would have helped you in your scenario as I think about it, but what do you think about the differing definitions of close contact and the requirement to isolate we have in SA versus the Scott Morrison mandated one, which is just about household contacts?
That's a good question. Look, if I was to offer an opinion that was informed by my own experience only, I would say it's frustrating because both Annabelle and I were lucky. We pretty much felt like we had a cold for a day, maybe felt a bit off on day 2, but we were pretty much 100% after that. And then we still had 8 days of isolation in front of us because in South Australia we've got the toughest requirements in the country. So for your listeners' benefit, anywhere else in Australia, if you get COVID, you isolate for 7 days. In South Australia, it's 10 days. Now, I'm not regaling against that because if that helps suppress the curve and so forth, reduces the number of cases, that's a good thing. But the question is, why are we different? And of course, the answer descends down to whether or not our hospital system is ready. Because the reason why we have the toughest restrictions in the nation, whether it be isolation requirements, close contact requirements, the toughest restrictions in the country on hospitality, the reason why we have that is because we've got the health system that is most vulnerable to being overwhelmed. And of course, we've already seen evidence of that already. So on a personal level, I would say it's frustrating, but at a top-line level, I can understand the situation because our health system, had the worst month of ramping in the history of the state in the month before we opened up the borders. So I think that informs the policy.
Peter Malinauskas, the AEU are considering strike action. Well, they're asking their members whether they want to go down the path of taking strike action over the back-to-school arrangements. What's your assessment of the arrangements that have been put in place so far by the government and the Education Department?
Well, the first thing is, we've got a pretty chaotic situation for parents now as it is. So I really do hope that our teachers don't have to strike. I think, to the extent that can be avoided, that really would be a good thing. I like other families, Dave, and I think you've got kids of a similar age. We're in this situation where our 6-year-old is going into year 2, she won't start on time. The 4-year-old who's in preschool will start on time. And our youngest, who was we're looking at putting into childcare, we've got no idea what's going to happen there. So it's tough enough on parents at the moment as it is, without laying on top of that the prospect of strike action. Having said that, I can't help but sympathise with the teachers on this one because, as you guys are aware, the current rules as they have been stated publicly mean that the teacher goes into a classroom, one kid's got COVID, and if a teacher's got 5 classes, on the balance probabilities, they will interact with a kid for longer than 15 minutes with COVID, they become a close contact, which means they will continue to teach under the change to the rules. But when they go home, they won't be able to see their own kids. So we'll have teachers who are close contacts who are allowed to see hundreds of kids at school but can't go home and see their own kids. Now, I've got to say, I sympathise with the teachers on that. Clearly that rule's got to change.
I think it is changing. Well, I think it's either changing or it's not as draconian as it's been stated. That's my understanding. But the communications on it has clearly been wanting to, by way of understatement.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Look, I think it will change, and then hopefully that helps avert the strike action. But I guess the better thing, what really we should be asking ourselves is, how are we in this situation? I mean, this was going to be an issue the moment we opened the borders. It was utterly foreseeable. And I'm not an opposition leader saying this with hindsight, gents. Back in October last year, at the beginning of October last year, before the borders had opened up, we were out there saying, let's have a COVID-ready plan for our schools. We put on the table a suite of constructive suggestions for the government to take up, suggestions that most other state governments around the country have taken up. They didn't do any of that. And that's where I think it's unfortunate, because all of this could have been avoided just with the planning in place, planning that we really had 2 years to do before we let the virus in by opening up the borders. And I think that's a legitimate frustration on behalf of teachers and parents across the state.
Opposition Leader Peter Malinauskas, thanks for joining us. We'll chat again soon.
Thanks, fellas.
24 minutes after 8, we're talking aged care homes after 8:30 this morning. Big story in the Tiser this morning about outbreaks that have been struggling to be contained, not within them, just within the entire sector. And that's an important distinction, as we made the point earlier. The definition of an outbreak in an aged care facility is there being one case in a resident or a couple of cases among staff. There are about a third of the facilities in South Australia that right now satisfy that definition, which is too many. This is, of course, the South Australia's most vulnerable people, and we wanted to get a sense of what's it like when you've got a loved one in, when you are in yourself right now. What's life like in 2022 in that part of South Australia? Mary in Christie's Beach has called in on this subject. Mary, good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Great,
Good, thanks, Mary.
So what's your experience been?
My experience is that I haven't been able to see Ivor since just after Christmas. He's been in lockdown, and that's been very difficult. But what I want to speak up for is the staff in aged care facilities, because they are angels on earth at the moment. I feel so sorry for them, the work that they're having to do if they're in a facility that has, 8 or 10 residents that have this Omicron, and they're having to work in full PPE. They're having to... they're short-staffed because many of the staff also have this jolly thing. And life in an aged care facility at the moment must be horrendous, absolutely horrendous.
How are you keeping in touch with Ivor, Mary? I know, because we've spoken to him many times in the past and in the lead up to his 90th birthday, which I think was getting on for 2 years ago now. You have managed to get in there, but are you back to using technology?
Yeah, and the thing is, for me, and this is peculiar to us, because I was paralysed on one side and he's not tech-savvy at all, the only way I can communicate with him at the moment is to get one of the carers to take a phone to him, which means that they have to take off their PPE and then put it back on again, and to find somebody that, has got a free moment to take the phone to Ivor. I feel guilty. They don't make me feel guilty, but I myself feel guilty taking their time to, have a talk to Ivor. And that's the only way I can communicate with him at the moment. But it's not satisfactory, but there's nothing else. I was thinking of getting him a little mobile phone, but then somebody would have to be with him to teach him how to use it.
Yeah,
somebody would have to make sure it was charged, and that's just more time that the poor carers would have to, put into just one person, and that to me seems quite selfish. So it's a mess. It's a real mess. I just They must be exhausted at the end of the day. You know, everybody, even where Ivor is, the residential services manager is on the floor helping out because, you know, they're just pushed and pushed and pushed to the limit. And then they have people like me, you know, the residents sort of saying, here, you know, what's going on? Tell me what this... They must
It's understandable though, Mary, and it's motivated only by love for your husband and wanting to make sure that he's doing well and he's not too lonely. But it's always great to catch up with you, Mary, and we'll talk to you again throughout the year. Hopefully things will normalise soon, because it's heartbreaking for many couples.
We'll continue this conversation after 8:30. Get us some of your texts too that are coming through. Interesting thoughts on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line.
Are you a culinary king or queen? Or simply a microwave master? Do you need that 2-drawer dishwasher? Or would a wine fridge see more action? The first step in kitchen creation is the appliances. With Spartan Electrical's extensive range of everyday appliances, the price is right for every renovation budget. Book a selection at a Spartan Electrical showroom in Campbelltown or Torrensville. Sit down for a coffee and choose the foundation of your kitchen creation.
Everybody loves their country.
I'm Anthony Fay from Ray White Real Estate. During open inspections, modern window furnishings done well really get the offers rolling in. They bring a look of quiet luxury to a home. Smart home improvements add value. Stunning curtains and shears are a feature that really makes a difference.
Improve, invest and add value with beautiful curtains and shears to match by country. Visit countryblinds.com.au for a free measure and quote.
Everybody loves their country.
Now, it's a new year, but one thing that hasn't, and will indeed never change really, is Adelaide's scorching summer. Keeping cool can often mean big electricity bills.
Thankfully, Zen Energy is changing the way we think about energy in Australia. The new year, great time to kick off with positive choices, so why not join the charge to a better future? Solar and battery solutions are the best way to reduce your carbon footprint, cool your home, heat your pool and save money on your power bills. So take the heat out of summer with Zen Energy.
Enjoy all the fun of summer with energy generated by solar and stored in a battery to use when you need it most, like keeping the beer fridge cool or powering your sound system and party lights.
Contact the guys at zenenergy.com.au, Adelaide's most trusted renewable energy providers, and keep cool this summer.
No one likes to wait, especially if you're waiting for something really amazing, like a new Mazda. Lucky, you won't have to wait too long at Mawson Lakes Mazda. Right now, you'll find new stock and demos right across the range, which means there's no compromise. You'll get everything you want and love in your new Mazda. Get behind the wheel of your dream Mazda sooner. Mawson Lakes Mazda, just a short drive from the city.
Here at FIVEaa, we're all about supporting local.
You can't get more local than Country Blinds.
With manufacturing in the Adelaide Hills showrooms at Unley, Henley Beach Road and Mount Barker, nobody knows local like Country Blinds.
Looking for a career change? Cleanaway have job opportunities for drivers and mechanics available right now. Join Australia's largest waste management company and help make a sustainable future possible. We provide essential waste and recycling services to the South Australian community. A career in the cabin means a different view every day. So if you have an HR truck licence or mechanic qualification, apply today. Search Cleanaway Careers or visit cleanaway.com.au/careers.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Mostly sunny 25 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
Had a bingle driving to work? Contact premierpanel.com.au, RAA approved crash repairer.
The Education Union will meet with the state government today to talk about the return to school plan. Teachers are threatening to walk off the job unless given more clarity on isolation requirements and the use of rapid tests. 2 more RATS collection points have opened this morning, this time at Murray Bridge and Port Augusta. Close contacts are eligible for 2 free rapid antigen tests but must register first. A collection point in the South Parklands opened last Thursday, with more metro area sites coming online in the next few weeks. But Shadow Health Minister Chris Picton says there's a lack of planning when it comes to the locations.
Last night, the City of Salisbury moved a motion condemning the government for not having a site in the northern suburbs, even though Salisbury Council has been offering up sites to the government that could be used.
Pharmaceutical company Moderna is working on a combined vaccine for COVID-19 and the flu. Nine's US correspondent Michael Genovese reports.
A single injection that protects against influenza and COVID-19. The 2-in-1 vaccine is in the works, according to Moderna's CEO. The combination won't be ready until next year and only available in some countries.
6 people have been arrested in a stolen car in the southern suburbs. Senior Constable Kimberly Broad says patrols attempted to stop the Ford sedan in the city just after midnight, but it kept moving.
It was pursued for a short time south through the CBD, but terminated for safety reasons. We did spot it again a short time later in the Goodwood area, but this time didn't pursue it, but just kept some observations of the car as it headed south on South Road and then onto the Southern Expressway.
The car stopped near the Seacombe Road Bridge and all 6 occupants were arrested without incident. There were 5 men and 1 woman in the vehicle, aged between 21 and 40. The driver's been charged with engaging in a police pursuit, illegal use of a motor vehicle, driving unlicensed and drink driving. The passengers charged with illegal use of a motor vehicle. Aussie travellers to Fiji could be facing flight delays because of the volcanic eruption in Tonga. A spreading ash cloud has seen Virgin and Jetstar cancel flights, while Fiji Airways have suspended all future flights due to the hazard. Novak Djokovic is back in Serbia after being deported from Australia, but the pressure is growing on Tennis Australia's CEO Craig Tiley. Nine's Brian Wilson has more.
Djokovic made the trip to Melbourne after assurances from Tennis Australia, with Tiley overseeing the medical exemption process that defied a no-vax, no-play directive from Premier Daniel Andrews and ignored written advice from Federal Health Minister Greg Hunt. Despite the involvement of the Victorian Health Department in issuing Djokovic the medical exemption, the Victorian government now continues to distance itself from the CEO, who is facing increasing calls to resign. Deputy Premier James Merlino.
That is entirely a matter for the TA board.
Tiley has been uncharacteristically absent from the Australian Open limelight since Djokovic was deported on Sunday night.
Barnaby Joyce and his former staffer Vicky Campion are now engaged, the Deputy PM revealing he popped the question while dining out on Sunday night. The 54 and 36-year-old have 2 young sons. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
If the windy weather has left your gutters full of debris, give Ken a call. Ken Hall Plumbers.
And it's over to Jace Kemp.
Thank you, Mel. 3 Aussies, including Ash Barty and John Millman, are through to the second round of the Australian Open. Alexander Vukic upset 30th seed Lloyd Harris. He's told Today it's incredible to be back playing in front of a home crowd.
Last year, I think all the Aussies, we were away for 11 months of the year. To come back, especially on court 3, which is, I feel like that's the people's court. Towards the end of the 4th set, it was jam-packed. I kind of felt sorry for my opponent after the match.
Alex de Minaur, Nick Kyrgios and Sam Stosur will be among 12 Aussies on court later today. To cricket, and the Strikers have booked a spot in the Big Bash finals after beating the Sixers by 8 wickets, while former Test skipper Mark Taylor believes new Aussie keeper Alex Carey will improve after his first Test. Taylor telling the Wild World of Sports Carey will grow in confidence behind the stumps as he settles into the role.
He started off really well at the Gabba. He took everything. The Gabba was a good pitch to keep on, and as the series went on, his keeping went down a little bit, but that could be just fatigue, concentration. 5 Test matches in 6 weeks.
Finally, Matilda's captain Sam Kerr has narrowly missed out on FIFA's award for Best Women's Player, and that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
A new and independent home for BMW is now open on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
At Bolivar, got a broken down car in the north-south motorway. It's near the Bolivar Exchange heading outbound. Brunella East got a smash at the intersection of Penberthy Road and Brunel Road. Bowden, expect a few delays there today. Hawker Street near Park Terrace. That's due to closures on Torrens Road for works. And we've got cameras Churchill Road, Kilburn and Exeter Terrace at Dudley Park. Maximise your investment property with Turner Real Estate. Receive an instant estimate of how many potential tenants match your property today at turnerrealestate.com.au. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA forecast heading for a top of 25 for your Tuesday and mostly sunny tomorrow 29, then 35 degrees on Thursday. Right now it's 17. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Gliderol Garage Doors new Platinum and Native Series sectional doors are here. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 9, the opposition leader, Peter Malinowskis, our guest just before 8:30. A few texts coming through on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Sally from Colonel Light Gardens says, morning, Will and Pembo. I just can't believe how shambolic the plan for our schools has been. Just 12 days before school's set to return, we're still none the wiser as to what is actually going to happen. Thank you for that, Sally. Greg the Rep asks a question that actually we've got a few times on the text line and indeed on Twitter too. He says, tell me how our AFL sides get a rapid antigen test daily and our schools and aged care facilities can't.
Here.
The pandemic has been ruled by sport. Someone needs to get this right. It appears AFL, as usual, controls the country.
Yeah,
I need someone to break down for me the supply chain issues with regard to these tests, because it seems some private entities are able to get more than enough, yet public health facilities, health services, aged care services can't get access. There's something horribly broken. There's not a lack of supply. There was clearly a lack of foresight, but there's a lack of access there too.
Oh, look, the whole school situation makes me bloody wild. Like, there are so many logical holes in it. I mean, and I'll be quite open about this as a parent. I've got a dog in the fight.
Yep.
I've got a son going into grade 1 who's in a combined grade 1-2 class. So half the class can go, half the class can't go. And I've got another son starting year 11, which these days is it's part of year 12.
Yeah.
Like year 11 and 12 are combined. They should be treated as one thing.
Yep.
So why is it that the year 12s go back and the year 11s don't? The disruption that this is doing to kids is totally unacceptable.
Well, it'll be a third year of disrupted schooling. That's a quarter of your school life, effectively.
Yeah.
What does the modelling on that look like long term?
Who knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows yet.
No one knows what's going to happen in our age.
Largely because our hospitals are clogged with people who haven't got vaccinated.
Yeah, that's right. Again,
wholly underwritten by the taxpayer, this entire thing.
This is a conversation we could have been having in 2020. The long-term impacts of policy decisions taken to try and keep people out of hospitals that can't take them. And the most frustrating element, I think, for everyone on January 18 in 2022 is it doesn't feel like the conversation's progressed. In fact, it feels like it's gone backwards. And here we are today.
It's being underwritten by future generations.
Oh, absolutely.
Like people in their 90s or people who are middle-aged who've chosen not to get vaccinated, they're not the ones who are going to be paying for the 2045 federal budget bailout. It's Jim and Sam.
Yep. And
who currently may or may not be going to school in a couple of weeks.
In a similar vein, so much of the conversation 2 years ago was about our aged care facilities, how they were going to be helped, what they needed to keep their residents safe. Well, here we are again, having the same conversation with a third of them in South Australia in various states of lockdown with quarantine requirements and staffing issues. Jane Musford is the CEO of the Council of the Ageing. Jane, good morning to you.
And good morning to both of you.
Good to chat to you, Jane. Hope you had a decent break over summer. So many questions for people in aged care, for people who work in aged care, for people whose partners work in aged care or whose loved ones live in aged care. We caught up with our great friend Mary just before the break, the 8:30 news break. What do you think is the biggest challenge right now as case numbers continue to rise inside the aged care system?
So the first thing I'd say is there is an abundance of goodwill, and we've talked a lot about the goodwill among aged care providers, aged care workers, health. I would also add to that families and residents. Everybody, there is a sense that we've all got to play our part. And residents and families are, part of that. The big issue is that we are now watching things happen that are not okay for older people. So we sent a note to FA Health about the 11th of January and said the feedback we were getting is that there were places where no visitors were able to go in, even though there is an industry code that says that essential visitors, there should be at least one essential visitor, even in the instance of an outbreak. We were getting feedback that we weren't capping, or there wasn't enough awareness about how long people were spending in their rooms because of the risk of a COVID outbreak or a COVID outbreak around them. That we had feedback that people were not, that there weren't enough staff on the ground to help people make contact by telephone or FaceTime or whatever. And so, there were long periods of no contact with family members. And the staffing was just so stretched. And, as we hear from aged care workers and aged care providers, that is the feedback. We made a suggestion before Christmas that if that part of the automatic transfer to hospital wasn't on the table for somebody who tested positive for COVID or where there was a COVID outbreak, could we not consider a transfer where there was going to be a long, prolonged limitation on people's movement inside an aged care facility? So, we're not a big fan of people who are not symptomatic and not sick being transferred to hospital. But I think we've got to keep an eye on what the fallout is for the other people who live in an aged care facility and being unable to leave a room or being unable to see loved ones or being unable to leave, borders on I think a human rights consideration. And we've,
totally.
And the Royal Commission said we should have a lot of the evidence to the Royal Commission said we've got to have a human rights frame in our aged care, and this is a long way from that.
Yeah, well, forced isolation, you could argue that the health impact of that for someone who's in their autumn years is comparable to the lesser risk of getting the coronavirus.
Yes, and that's easy to say from the outside, and we know there's a considerable anxiety among people, and this is a balancing act, and that the feedback we get is that people are trying very, very hard with that balance. We're also hearing, obviously, that people are spending an inordinate amount of time chasing down PPE, chasing down rats, chasing down staff, trying to get the rules right, and all of those things take time away from the care that's available to people and take time away from the innovation that might be helping people to solve problems of, that prevent people being in prolonged lockdown. We have a lot of sympathy for the aged care sector in this. The feedback we get is, by and large, they are, there's lots of goodwill and good intention. But this is not okay. People are not able to do the things that you and I, even in the worst of our lockdown, are still able to do.
As always, Jane, great to catch up with you. Thank you for your time.
Cheers, Jane.
It's the CEO of the Council on the Ageing, Jane Musred. Teresa in Burnside's called in on the aged care story. Teresa, good morning to you.
Good morning, fellas. How are you this morning?
Yeah, good.
Thanks, Teresa.
Good. I just want to say the aged care facility that my mother is in, they're taking very, very good care of them. The residents are getting tested every third day. The carers, which, like myself, go in, we're getting tested every third day. And the workers, before they can enter the building, they're getting tested before they even enter. So there'll be a positive. If there's a positive, they don't get to go into the building.
Well, that sounds like it's a pretty waterproof system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic, the care that this nursing home is given to the residents, to the carers and to the staff.
Yeah.
I say good on them. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you coping with the visit side of things, Teresa?
Well, they did have 2 weeks where we couldn't go and see our loved ones till they got everything under control and working. And yes, my mother was very, very depressed. But now we're all good. We're all on top of it because they've got a system and it's working.
That sounds excellent.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
a great
like
insight,
model.
Teresa. Thank you so much for calling in. That's important
Thank
for people
you,
to hear.
thank
And it can be done. Look, the reality is it can be done when you've got adequate supply of the things you need to keep everybody safe, and the foresight to have planned for it.
Well, part of the issue that feeds into at the moment is supply chain as well. It was like yesterday at the supermarket. All the taco shells have gone. Not the kits, but don't use a kit. You can make your own chili con carne. But the stand and stuff 10 packs were just all gone, and all the other 10 packs of your regular taco, like all these random stuff.
It's bizarre. Yeah, I was in doing shopping at West Lakes yesterday. There are bizarre things that are just missing everywhere. And I tell you what, it's the biggest benefit that's ever happened to local butchers. Meat Tray Friday is going to be really quite something this year.
Yeah.
But butchers still have supply.
The supermarkets the big ones get their meat from interstate.
Yeah, that's right. But your local butcher still has meat if you're missing out anywhere. But it is peculiar, the sorts of things that are missing now. But it's just because a certain group of people who does that certain thing and distributes it on that day got COVID or were forced to isolate. And so it totally disappears.
2 weeks ago, Aldinga Foodland, it looked like Soviet Union.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. There was nothing apart from like variety meats. There were about 3 silver sides sitting there, and then things like chicken necks and all this random stuff.
It has given you a strong sense of the fragility of the systems that we take for granted, hasn't it? If you take large groups of people out of circulation for just 7 days, lots of the world stops. Lots of stuff you take for granted is just happening as a matter of course. Your supermarket shelves being filled up with stock. These things just don't happen. And then on a micro level,
the guy doesn't come in at night to restock the shelves.
Exactly right.
Because he's in ISO.
It all just stops.
Yeah.
The question, I think, is that the legitimate question is, given now, when you've heard Dr. Fauci and others now use the phrase, or use the turn of phrase, use the word, this thing's going to become endemic. It'll be endemic, so it lives with us. It'll be here forever. You just get it routinely. How does this end? How does it stop? How does the guy stop being in isolation? How does the guy fill the shelves or drive the truck in 6-12 months?
Well,
what's the trigger?
It's going to need a political...
That's right.
An act of political courage, which is for someone to actually stand up and say, folks, we don't shut things down because people get colds.
Yeah.
We need to start treating this like that.
No one's prepared to go anywhere near what the trigger is for that scenario.
Certainly not 8 weeks from an election.
Certainly not. Let's check traffic. Thanks to Glenelg BMW. If you've got a new independent home for BMW, well, the one you want to check out is on Brighton Road. Visit Glenelg BMW today.
Thanks, Will. At Bolivar got a broken down car in the north-south motorway near the Bolivar Exchange. That's heading outbound. Ranella East got a smash at the intersection of Penberthy Road and Brunel Road. Bowden, expect a few delays there today. Hawker Street near Park Terrace. That's due to closures on Torrens Road for works. And we've got cameras about the place today. Grants Gully Road, Clarendon, Perry Bar Road, Hallett Cove, and Pym Street, Dudley Park. NAB Modbury is now open in a new location at Westfield Tea Tree Plaza. Visit the new NAB Modbury today for greater personal service, expert knowledge, digital tools and support. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
So you've got a will. That's good. But do you know where it is? Or when it was updated last? Have your circumstances changed? An old or poorly thought out will can leave problems for your family and those you love. And it can be expensive to sort out. Don't let that be your legacy. From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, you can trust Donlan Lawyers to help carry out your wishes. Wills and estate planning? Visit donlanlawyers.com.
Not all milk is created equal. The Flurio Milk Company is a perfect example. It's real milk, no additives, no preservatives, 100% local, straight from the farm to your table within hours. The Flurio Milk Company pasteurise and bottle their milk on the farm. Doesn't get any fresher than that. Fuel up with Flurio Milk this January and grab yourself any 2 500ml flavoured milks for just $5 at your local ex-convenience. Flurio Milk Company, the milk for all South Aussies.
Adelaide property values are at an all-time high. They've grown by more than 17% over the past year with really strong buyer demand. In some areas, demand is greater than supply. Vendors are regularly getting multiple offers for homes with sold prices well above expectations.
Now, we know that our friends at Toop and Toop, well, they work across all suburbs, and we can tell you right now that in Malvern, they're working with 4,825 buyers, 4,737 in Linden Park and 4,842 in Walkerville. And all of these people are searching for their perfect property in these specific locations.
If you're thinking of selling and would like to know how many buyers Toop and Toop are working with in your suburb, visit toop.com.au.
This is Paula. Paula loves her pool. Nothing beats a refreshing splash in the sun. But Paula has a problem. She gets the gilts having the pump on all day. Well, Paula, save your gilts for walking through the house with wet feet, because NRG Solar gives you electricity guilt-free. Just guilt-free clean pools all day long.
Electricity guilt-free with NRG.
Dry your feet, Paula. nrgsolar.com.au.
The Edwardstown Mazda sale is on right now, and it's sizzling with massive savings on new, demo and used Mazdas. Plenty of stock is arriving daily, but you'd better hurry, they'll be snapped up. Edwardstown Mazda, 862 South Road, LMVD 207428.
9 News is the one that's always been live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide for Adelaide.
Gliderol Garage Doors, adding strength, safety and style to South Australian homes for over 40 years. Gliderol.com.au.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 to 9, David's Daily Headline returns in a couple of minutes' time.
Forgot that yesterday.
He was once the best headline writer in the country. And he's just had
once?
his... Well, you're not writing headlines
Why are we doing
anymore.
it now, then?
No, but I'm
Why don't
saying...
we get the new best guy?
That's why we've brought it back. So you didn't let me finish. He's been left idle. The skills have been left idle. That's why you got David's Daily Headline coming out. I was trying to pay you a compliment.
No, I appreciate that.
I might have been a little ham-fisted.
Backhanded even.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's while you marinate that and develop the headline of today. I'm looking forward to
your line. I liked your line yesterday that our new marketing catch craze. We just keep turning up.
That's our real strength.
That's right.
They always say availability is the best ability.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, let's go behind closed doors. Thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions. They're looking for subcontract drivers right now. Call 13 13 64. That's 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed doors,
13.95, Adelaide's 5AA. This is 5AA Summer Afternoons.
And yes, you're with Graham Goodings. And I'm glad you've joined me on the afternoon show. Looking forward to Christmas. Boy, who isn't? Catching up with the family. Funny, isn't it, how I'm looking forward to spending time with the Goodings family, and all of you are no doubt looking forward to getting well away from the Goodings family. Irony. I look forward to Christmas because I have a real fetish for a good fruit mince tart. Call me old-fashioned, I can't resist a good tart. Nothing like a fresh tart. I find if I'm confronted with a luscious tart, I have a lot of trouble saying no. Put a tart in front of me, I'll tell you what, you'll have to hold me back. I just have to give in. I love all sorts of different tarts. Let's face it, varieties, what we like. I do prefer a hot tart, but also wouldn't say no to a cold, sweet tart. I don't mind a spicy tart either. I'll tell you what, too, if I'm presented with a tart that's tied up in a bag and covered in honey, oh boy, I'm anybody's. I can usually handle more than one tart. One just doesn't seem to satisfy me somehow. I can usually knock off a couple of tarts in one session. And I have to admit, if I wait a little while, I'm usually ready for another one. I love my tarts. Doesn't seem to matter how many tarts I have, I still have this overwhelming desire to have more. I usually keep them in a cupboard. There's really no reason why I should wait till Christmas to enjoy my tarts. I'm ready for a tart all year round. I can't lie, they go down really well.
Does love his fruit mince tarts. Does, Dad. In fact...
Now, I've got some at home that were in a hamper that I got. I don't like them. I'll bring them in for your dad.
You should do that. You make a friend for life.
Yeah, there's 6.
In fact, my fear is, because he's in for Leon. Leon's off crook again today. I can see him in the next studio.
I'll bring him in.
It now being the tart being mentioned on air, I suspect it may overrun the first part of the program. It's unavoidable. There'll be a tart-related monologue coming at some point over the course of the next 3 hours.
6 mince tarts. Whether he's here or not tomorrow, I'll bring him in. You can give him to your old man.
I will, and I'll claim total credit.
I'll ride it on my hand now.
Yeah, good stuff. Don't shower between now and then.
No.
All right,
yeah. Make that mistake.
We late last year launched the David's Daily Headline. We don't know what the subject matter is going to be. We just know that if David was editing a major newspaper like he did for many, many years, here today, this would be the front page.
Of that role.
This would be... Well, you've been granted a new role. Yeah. This would be the headline. Here we go.
No joker, headline writers fear pun shortage as non-vax Novak heads back after legal whack.
That's a big one.
Headline about headlines. Like they absolutely clocked the pinball machine, didn't they, in terms of puns over the last month?
Oh, they did, and they did well. But
They did.
unfortunately, that will give way to a veritable flood of Barty Party references for the next week. or
Okay,
two.
Barty, let's go party.
Can we just retire the Barty Party?
Well, there's not many tennis names that lend themselves to that. Like, what's the Medvedev pun? Where do you even start with that one?
Yeah, no, you've got me there.
Yeah.
That can be your headline challenge for the year.
That's right. It's like what rhymes with
Turn
orange.
Daniil Medvedev into a pun.
Medvedevin. Just like Medvedevin.
Yeah.
No.
If you want to set David a challenge for the daily headline, you're more than welcome to
that'd
do
be
so
good,
at any time. Hey, we're out of time on this Tuesday morning. Stick around. Graham Goodings is coming up in just a moment. Leon is off crook again. Jade Robran will take you throughout the afternoon, and then I'm guessing Mark Bickley will be on again with Rowie under the weather due to COVID, but good to hear he's recovering, and so far, so good. We'll catch you tomorrow morning from 6.
See you then.